listen to the music as I fix. Let's get this show on the road. Okay.
We Gucci?
Yeah, we're Gucci.
We didn't even say hello to the no people.
Hello, no people. Also, to all the no people that are here, if you miss any of this stream, it will be uploaded on YouTube. I don't know when.
For realsies?
Yeah, because Dana requested it, so. So she could put us on the TV.
Oh. Okay.
I don't know. Apparently she wants to see us big. So hi, Dana, when you put us on the TV. Sanahe. I love you. Noctis also loves you, apparently, because he meows.
Alright, are we ready to do this? Yes. Close Final Fantasy X.
I so didn't just come in from being at work. Nope. An Oreo hit me in the back of my
Can
throat.
you not choke on stream? That's not what this is about.
Choke on your own time, not this time. What is this?
I don't know. Yes, we would like to play in English, please.
No, let's play Mandarin.
I don't speak Mandarin.
Neither do I.
I can at least make a best guess with Japanese. Could probably
This is a
butcher-
work of fiction, everybody.
Yeah. Any resemblance to actual persons living or dead or actual events is purely coincidental. It's the Taisho era.
In
June
1922?
1922.
It's the rainy season. I couldn't tell
I
with the rain.
can't- Well, I was gonna read where we were, but I couldn't see it.
Because it's the rainy season. I feel like we just need
I can see clearly now the rain.
Well, if this song is like copyrighted, this is gonna be much fun on YouTube. Dana, it might not be on YouTube, so.
Oh, do you have to like cut it out or something? Is that how that works? I don't know how any of this works.
If it's copyrighted, something.
Oh,
Except countries. So if the United States is
That's-
well, I have to download the VOD.
Would it count if I sang badly over?
Yes, because by now it's played for over 30 seconds, so it's turned down. You have a bracelet. You are scary.
Yeah, the bracelet's what you notice on that one.
Then we will listen to EDM. Hallucination is the title of the song. Probably so going to be copyrighted.
Can't you just like cut out the audio? Like Ko did for the beginning of Final Fantasy 15.
I could have just cut out our vocals because I don't have an S7 audio track.
So we put captions for what we're saying underneath.
Sure. Kelly and Tiffany are doing dumb shit.
Yeah, basically. Alright, we ready? Let's start.
それじゃあ始めるか
Yeah, how'd
What you
like that?
said.
Alright, are you ready for this? Because I'm excited.
Yes, you did.
Shamrock shake, yo. Alright. According to the man.
Can you?
Shush. I'm telling a story.
I already know this story, and it's not a good one.
It's not. Okay. According to the man, the Phantom lived in the basement. Night after night, he would kidnap someone, tie them to a cold chair, and tell them his questionable life story until the break of dawn. That was really boring. Can you stop? He spoke.
I was born.
I was born.
I lived.
Without passion or emotion, he spoke about himself as if speaking of someone else.
This person lived.
Except
Did
it
some
was me.
questionable things.
Except it was still me.
Plot twist, it was me.
If I had to complain about one thing, it would be how cold the chair was. Not the boring life story, but the chair. My second complaint would be that the man's story was
I feel
boring.
like those should be.
I feel
I
like
think the
those should
first
be-
complaint would be, someone kidnapped me.
Yes. Yes. Fair.
Someone has kidnapped me.
And my third was that the man seemed to want my final opinion on it. I guess I would probably also be a little bit upset about being kidnapped, forced to listen to a boring story while sitting on a cold chair, and then have them ask me what I
So you wouldn't be as sad or angry if the story was at least riveting?
If it were interesting, at least I wouldn't be bored.
Like, and that's the other thing. He's tied to the chair, so he's
Right.
physically restrained.
Yeah.
But, like, he's just like, man, this story's fucking boring.
Thank you. Why would you want something like that? Because I'm that creature. What creature?
Wow.
Hi, Umbra. Come here. No? Just because you got... No. Okay. Up until a moment ago, I should have been gazing over the Shiodome River. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that was almost bad. Are we okay?
Yes, Umbra decided to walk across the laptop.
Okay.
I haven't knocked this, though.
Okay. Hello.
He's
Okay.
also very sad that this story is very boring.
Yes. Up until a moment ago, I should have been gazing over the Shiodome River from Sheen Bridge. As soon as I realized I had been kidnapped, I started to understand why the chair was so
Man,
cold.
this chair is cold. I was kidnapped, that's why.
Oh, crap. You get it now.
No,
He
I don't.
asked, except without a question mark. So
You get it now.
you get it now.
You get it now.
You get it now? Ah. But before I offered my opinion, I had one question.
Just one?
Just one.
Not multiple?
When will the sun rise?
When not this.
That would be my question.
I can't say that sentence because that's a spoiler for anybody who hasn't played.
Yes. So, like, that would be my question, though. Not, why was I kidnapped? Why did you make me listen to your boring-ass story? Why is this chair so freaking cold? I want to know when the sun's gonna rise.
When's the sun's gonna
How long
rise?
have I been here?
Because that's when Dunkin' Donuts opens and I can get coffee.
Once.
In a blue moon?
I'm bored.
Well, I'm already there. So
I'm
can we-
already there, so can I go now?
Oh.
Once I dawn. If the Phantom said it was night, it would become night. If he said it was morning, it would become morning. But once he did, it was no longer Japan, nor was it another world. It was a so-called world of illusions, with its own concept of time that the monster controlled. Did that make any sense to you? No. Okay. This story begins with me.
Okay, you narcissist.
Record
This
scratch.
is all about me.
Record scratch. Yeah, that's me. I guess you're wondering how I ended up in this situation. This story begins with me. Me. A man harboring obscure anxieties about the transient world being detained by a curious and grotesque monster. It's a miserable and beautiful story about me finally clinging to life when faced with true death and God. At least, it should have been. When he finished turning the last page, he tapped the now bare table with his middle finger.
Is now Bear written? Now dash Bear?
He seemed to be demanding something, or searching for something.
That cold chair.
Yeah, right? It cut into the gramophone's brisk melody.
Read that as grandma.
Melody? Did I just say that with a T? Melody.
Melody.
We'll try that again.
We're going to be spelling a lot of T's.
At any rate, I could tell the behavior was out of disgust.
何これ
What is this? I say in a really low voice because why not?
何これって
What is this?
Harry Potter wannabe.
What is this? Without thinking, I blurted out the same thing. I had expected his voice to be more full of praise and admiration, right? That story was bomb. His reaction was somehow different from what I had imagined. Maybe I had given him the wrong manuscript?
In this conversation, I'm the Harley wannabe.
Thinking that that couldn't be possible, I took a peek. No matter how many times I looked it over, though, it was the story I'd written, The Phantom in the Basement.
Is it like a fan fiction of that one opera play thingy that's
The Phantom of the Opera?
Yeah.
Except he's not in the opera, he's in a basement?
Yeah, it's the precursor to the opera. It's before he moved out of the basement. It's before he got famous. And probably was a serial killer. I'm just saying.
I mean,
He's big. He's giving me some murder vibes. Not gonna lie. Like he's in a
Murder vibes.
basement
Yeah.
kidnapping people.
definitely.
Episode of Criminal Minds right here.
Okay,
Where's Reed?
we're ready. Except this is 1922. So
Where's
none of them
Reed's
are
grandpa?
alive. Is this how the story ends?
No.
Yeah.
あいや
No,
次は
I'll
明日
have more tomorrow.
Oh, you're one of those fanfic writers.
ああそう君は不完
Wait for
全
my
な
update.
Give me 5 likes and I'll update sooner.
Tomorrow. Ah, I see. You showed me something defective.
不完全とはひ
Defective
どい
is a
言い
mean
草だ
way to put it.
俺は
I was
連
planning
載
on
のつ
making
もり
it
で
a
あって
series.
たな
Yeah, you're freaking killer.
Kawase blew out the tobacco smoke he was holding in. Thanks. An indescribable smile was waiting for me beyond the haze I parted.
何を笑っている嫌なら返せ
That was great. What are you smiling about? If you don't like it, give it back.
いや言いたいことはまだ
Mine!
Nope. There are still things I want to say.
We need Felix for this part.
Right? Kawase pulled the manuscript toward himself and looked it over again. Don't steal this, it's mine. He traced over the last lines with his pinky finger, over and over again in disgust. You don't look disgusted enough. When will the morning come? Once I'm done.
このダジャレも
I'm
よく
trying to
わからない
find, like, wow. This is killing
Yeah, we don't know either. Just... It's great so far, though.
me. Oh, I need alcohol.
No, you don't. I also don't get this awful pun.
Me with you.
ダジャレではな
I
い
use
言葉遊び
dawn
だ
for done. It's a play on words.
言
A
葉
play
遊
on
びね
words, huh? Oops.
おっと失礼
How rude of me.
Was that a gut or a choke?
His cigarette sprung up like a shishiodoshi and scattered ash all over the page. As if that weren't enough, he snubbed the flame out on my manuscript.
Bitch.
The flame blur...
The flame blah 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 blah.
The flame burned through several pages before the smoldering sound stopped. He tilted his head in confusion when I immediately gathered up the manuscript pages.
そんなに大事なものだ
Is it that important to you? Of course! It may only be one
今
chapter,
回の
then
は
it would
第
have been
一弾って
complete
あって
in
だ
2
な
or 3.
第二弾
That
第
would have
三
been
弾
a
と連
first
って
for me.
初めて完成するのだ
But
な
now...
のに
Like, this is before Google Docs and it autosaves.
This is on paper.
Like, oh my god. And they didn't even have computers. They had to use typewriters. Word. Okay, I'm a Valley
Okay,
girl now.
Valley Girl, can we get back to California, please? Like, stop. Again. With the choking.
Sorry, I'll schedule my choking for after the stream.
An impressive hole pierced right through the middle of the manuscript. When I glared at him through the small peephole... Grr. Kawase pulled out his wallet in annoyance. Okay,
I guess I have to pay you.
いくら払えば許してくれるかな
how much will it cost for you to forgive me?
You with Fire Emblem.
You get a gift. You get a gift. Are we friends now? That's not the problem. That's not the problem, Kawase. He was like an old man fishing a mouthful of flashing.
Oh, this is gonna be a fun series.
Yay! Okay. He was like an old man flashing a mouthful of gold teeth. Even if you use gold and silver to rebuild a collapsed wall, it's still not the wall you had to begin with. You're right. He's not wrong. And yet, I wasn't such an ogre that I wouldn't take his feelings into consideration and try to settle things out of court. So to
Sorry,
speak.
I'm concentrating. He's struggling. I'm a little worried.
3年
No. You do your catly duty and you cover that up. I am yelling at you on stream and I don't...
3 yen! Don't put such a high price on toilet paper.
Hey,
Toilet
紙だ
paper!
ぞ
toilet paper is very
やつ
important.
は
It's a
も
hot
ういい
commodity.
You didn't just go through a pandemic.
You bastard! Don't give me that!
And how do you
What
know
a
if his
thoroughly
parents were
evil man.
married? I'm just saying, maybe he's not a bastard. Maybe his parents are married.
He was a devil, and he most likely had no idea what sort. If I could read. Okay, anyway, he was a devil, and he most likely had no idea what sort of feelings I had put into this manuscript.
It's a devil. Like this.
Oh my god. He couldn't imagine just how much planning, and more planning I put into each page with my hands, my eyes, and my heart.
But at your feet? What the hell?
I faked a cough and let out a sigh. Poor taste. It wasn't as if I had no talent. There was no way I had no skill whatsoever. It was all Kawase's fault. He had an unfeeling. He was an unfeeling. Wow.
Do you need me to take over?
No. I'm fine.
Are you sure about
I
that?
can read.
Are you sure? Because you've messed up multiple times in the span of... Well, we haven't been streaming that long for 10 minutes.
And
Do you just want to do, like,
yeah, like you could speak any better. What did you say just now?
貧相な感性だと言ったのだ
I said you have poor taste.
引き捨てならないね。審美眼があると言ってほしい。
I can't let that slide. I want you to say I have an eye for beauty. An eye for beauty, huh? You can't even
所詮
recognize the value
宝
of this
石が自
sparkling
ら
gem.
輝くまでその価値に気づけないくせに
Hey, you two should kiss.
自分が何かの原石だって言いたいの？言い訳だけはしゃれてるね。
He's doing that on stream.
You okay, bro? Please don't have my hair pull up at like 20. Oh, God. Are you okay? I'll go help our son. Can't be that bad.
Okay. Alright. Are you trying to say you're some sort of diamond in the rough? Only your excuses are witty.
言い訳などではないそれによく分かったお前がどれだけつまらない人間かということがな
It wasn't an excuse. Besides, I know you. I know just how much of a boring person you are. This was the 4th time I had asked Kawase for a critique. The first time, when I was nervous, he'd crumpled it up. The second time, when I was hopeful, he'd sent it flowing away on the river. And the third time, when I was fully prepared, he'd turned it into a paper airplane and sent it flying away into the sky.
Here's an idea. Stop giving me
何を見せてもつまらない何を
No matter what I show you, you're uninterested. No
なんだ
matter what I
あれは
tell
貴
you,
様の
you're
方しか
bored.
思えない
All I can think is that you're the one with the problem.
Wait, are you the dude that
本
kidnaps that
当
dude
に
and like...
失礼なや
Is
つだ
that
な
what
君
happens,
は
maybe?
俺だって
It's a
心に響けば手を
story.
叩くし
It
感
wasn't
動できれば
real.
君を撫でて
Well,
あ
I
げる
think this is real life. I think he ends up kidnapping Haru.
Is this just fantasy?
The Haru wannabe. Harry Potter kidnaps the Haru wannabe and ties him to a chair and
The
tells
chair
him...
is cold.
And the chair is cold because the Harry Potter wannabe didn't even have the audacity to put his thin ass in the chair to warm it up for a moment before he ties them up.
No. You really are a rude guy. If it resonates in my heart, I'll applaud you. If it moves me, I'll give you a pat on the head.
それは
That's
それで気持ち悪い
creepy in and of itself.
ああ早く君をワシャワシャしてあげたい
I
な
want to ruffle that hair of yours soon.
That sounds good.
What exactly are you trying to say with that deadpan voice? Things like that could make me flare up at him again and again.
Like a bad case for Rosacea.
But unable to find the right words for a comeback, I swallowed my feelings. I was the one who had asked a guy like this for critiques. I was the one who had brought it up, so there was absolutely no way I could back down.
Yeah, you can.
明日出直す
I'll redo it tomorrow.
楽し
How
み
short is this story?
次はもう少し多めに
Bring
持っ
me
てこい
one that's a little longer next time, Kawase said, tapping his wallet.
また持
After
つこ
all,
とに
it
なる
may
だろ
end
う
up
から
getting
ね
burnt again. What an utterly vile man. Kawase lit his last match as he held a cigarette in his smirking mouth.
You keep going for him.
But perhaps my curses had worked because it wouldn't light. In the end, the head of the match broke off and rolled tragically away.
あれしけってる
Huh? It's damp.
Is your butt sweaty?
梅雨
The rainy season sure makes
生
life
きにくい
difficult.
季節だよ
Is your head constantly at a 45-degree angle?
Maybe.
Feels like that's bad for your neck.
Kawaii. Kawase commented on the weather as he tossed the matchbox away. The thin glass distorted the sky, making me worry even more about getting back. It felt as though the sound of the rain tapping against the window was telling me to hurry on home.
私はこれで失礼する
I've gotta get going.
食うだけ食って帰
Eating,
る
then
なんて
running off. What an
想像しい
obnoxious
やつだ
guy
な
you are. Which one of us was being obnoxious now? I gathered up the remaining pages Kawase had read and discarded, then glared at him. Ooh, Swamp Demon's on. Kawase brought his coffee to his now lonely lips, the corners of his eyes crinkling as he smiled crudely. One day, one of my stories will hit you so hard you'll look positively drunk. When I thought that, I cracked a smile as well.
邪悪な顔だね
What a wicked face.
Does he smell like mine?
お前こ
Back at you.
What the fuck does he
時間
smell
は
like?
明日
He's
の
like
昼
wicked.
君の家だ
Is he like missing teeth? Is his teeth like sharp or something?
No? Like, it probably just looks slightly evil.
Okay.
Tomorrow afternoon, your place.
Ooh.
ああ来たれ来
Please,
た
do
れ
come.
I'm sure he will.
俺から逃げ出そうなんて
Don't
思
even
うな
think
よ
about trying to run away from me.
Also sorry to
当
sound
た
like
り
a
前だ
Bielsa.
お前も意地を張らず
You'll
そろそろ
eventually
素直
give
に
in
な
and
っ
be
て
honest with me.
おお
Soon. Ba-ba-ba. Our minor argument was suddenly drowned out by a deep rumbling, along with an eerie sound that seemed to be speeding right at us. Ah! Surprise! The ground shook violently. I was immediately thrown to the floor. Waitresses screamed. Plates broke. The window panes creaked. Are they sure? Because the window panes sounded a little unsure about themselves.
It's been a rough day.
Kawase spat out his
I
coffee.
ain't doing that one.
The moment I was flung from my seat, my manuscript scattered all over the place again.
2 exclamation points.
What had just happened? The roar grew distant, and the shaking gradually subsided. One page from my manuscript gently covered the top of my head. When I removed it and looked up at the ceiling, the chandelier, which was spinning around and around, made me dizzy. The guests and waitresses fell silent. They all had the same look on their faces. Only the gramophone sang its jazz like it was completely unaware.
大きい車が飛ん
Did
だ
a huge car go by?
Yeah, it was a semi.
Idiot, it was
バカか
obviously
君
an earthquake.
地震に決まってるだろ地震
Yeah,
Duh.
baka!
地震
An earthquake?
こんなに大きいのは
This
初
is
め
the
てだ
first
な
time we've had one this big.
そう去年くらいから結構頻
Really?
発し
I
てると
feel like
思うけ
we've
ど
had a lot since last year.
くそ
Kawase looked down at his chest and grieved for his uniform, which was damp with coffee. It wasn't all that bad. He could just wipe it off and let it dry on its own, but Kawase clicked his tongue dramatically.
今日は最低最悪の日だ
Today is the absolute worst.
たかが服が濡
Your
れたぐ
clothes
らい
just
で
got a
なん
little
だ
wet.
You're gonna go in the rain
君
anyways.
の安
They're
い
not
服とは
like
わけ
your
が違
cheap
うんだ。
rags.
巷じゃ服を汚
Word
すの
on the
が流行っ
street
て
is
いる
that
のだ
dirty
ぞ。
clothes are in style, right?
人の価
You
値
know
は
what they
服
say,
に
a
あらず
person's worth
本
isn't
質
in
に
their
ありと
clothes,
な。
but in their true character.
外見より
What's
中身。
inside matters more than outer appearances, huh?
だったら
In
裸に
that
なって
case,
自分の
you
高
should
潔
get
性を
naked
示
and
し
show
な。
just how noble your character really is.
That escalated really quickly.
Escalating really quickly.
Are you sure this isn't a
これが
Theo?
一番
That
手っ
would
取り
what?
早いが
Are you sure this
法に
isn't
触
a
れるの
Theo?
は怖い。
It is.
Oh, it is?
Yes.
I did not know that. Okay, now I'm happy.
Okay. That would be the fastest way, but dealing with the police would be scary. That's fair public indecency.
だろう
Be a
ね。
weird thing to go to jail
結
for.
局君は慣習
When
に
it
と
comes
らわれ
down
ない
to
自
it,
分
you
を
just
見て
want
ほ
people
し
to
い
see
だけ
how
なんでしょ。
unconventional you are, don't you?
いやし
How crude. That's
早
obvious
速
just
外
from
見に
looking
に
at
じみ
you.
出て
Are
る
you。guys like in a BDSM relationship?
Your sarcasm is like a Gatling gun. Okay.
Fast firing?
Sure. Feeling as though I should back off from Kawase in his pissy mood, I once again began to gather up my manuscript. Everyone in the earthquake-shaken cafe had calmed down and begun to move. Everyone that was...
うわ
Ugh,
全
it's
然
not coming out at all.
くそ。
Damn. Except for Kawase.
汚れているようには見えないが
It doesn't look stained to me. That's
君の
because
眼
your
鏡が
glasses
すで
are
に
already
汚れてる
dirty.
からだよ。
Damn.
Just in case, I cleaned my glasses and took another look, but I really couldn't understand what he was so upset about. Could black clothes be stained even blacker than they were to
Yes.
begin with? I guess his fussiness really was some kind of disorder. Right, Rob. Even I wasn't stupid enough to fan the flames by trying to understand his pain. As I started to quickly try to wrap things up here, a waitress made her way toward us.
帝大生さん
Teidaisei-san?
何
What? I'll wipe you off.
お体お拭きいたします
Yeah.
You are underage. You can't see this.
Whoa. She bowed, then fell to her knees and began to eagerly wipe off Kawase's uniform. Her pink handkerchief turned a faint coffee brown. If I could guess why she was doing this, then the actual person she was doing it to must have realized the waitress's feelings for him already.
She wants that dick.
I wondered what Kawase would do. Well, it was pointless either way.
おい君
Hey,
あのだな
about that.
やめてくれ
Stop.
汚いか
It's
ら。
dirty.
そうだ大事な手ぬぐいが汚
Your
れてしまう
precious handkerchief
だ
will
から
get
あんま
dirty.
りその男
That's
に
why
は
you shouldn't.
いいんです
It's okay. It's fine if it gets dirty. This handkerchief was embroidered by my grandmother, so it's important to
お
me.
ばあちゃんが刺繍してくれた大切な手ぬぐいですけど
Oh, there was a red flower blooming on it.
帝大のいえあなた様のお召
Imperial
し物に
University's
シミがつい
your clothes being stained. Your clothes being stained is English.
It's hard.
君が汚いって言ってるんだ
Oh, I'm getting like low-key Bakugo vibes from this dude, and I'm loving it. I'm saying you're dirty.
What's with the
知
heartbeat?
らないババアが触れた手ぬぐいなんて
The fact that some
Now it's
old
not
woman touched that handkerchief makes it even worse.
あ
What?
おばあちゃんの
What I
話
said
は
about my
嘘です
grandmother was a lie.
私
I'm the one who
縫いました
embroidered it. How cunning. It was like she knew she could attach some kind of sentimental value to a simple handkerchief just by starting off with, "It's my grandmother's." However, that only infuriated Kawase even more. Drip, drip. Kawase poured his remaining coffee over the waitress's head.
Haru Wanabe's a bitch.
Mhm. She trembled and let out a delayed yelp.
Is
上
that
級は
delayed?
上級らしく奉仕したら
Why don't you act like a waitress and bring me another one on the house?
Bitch.
ご奉仕
On the
ですか
Bitch, did I stutter?
Can't you
見てわ
tell?
かんないの
My
は
coffee
コー
spilled.
ヒーがこぼれ
That's
た
because this cafe
この店の耐震が甘いせいだよ
Okay. That's because this cafe wasn't built to withstand
黙って提供して
earthquakes.
ほしい。
The least you can do is shut up and bring me another.
I mean, she made the noise.
I am also allowed to make noises.
Nope.
The waitress was dumbfounded by his stone cold eyes. She probably never thought the person she admired would ever treat her this way. Normally, I would have kept quiet and ignored them, but today I found my eyes wandering nervously.
聞いてる
Are you listening?
Get out of my groceries!
Kawase said, grabbing the waitress's hair and turning her ear toward
Karase
him.
did not say get out of my groceries.
Yeah, she made the noise.
川瀬
Kawase!
前
I've
々
never
から
liked
この
this
髪も
hairstyle.
気に
Wouldn't
入ら
it
なか
look
った
cuter if it were chopped off?
バッサリいった方が可愛いんじゃないの
He's the serial killer.
Naturally, everyone in the cafe was focusing their gazes on us. Dude, you're causing a scene! The other waitresses were paralyzed with fear in the back, and even the timid chef made a rare appearance. What a mess.
Not the timid chef.
I liked this cafe's food. Hi, Umbra. Now it would be awkward to come here.
わかりました。
Got it!
今すぐコーヒーをお持ちします。
Why is there a heart in her eye?
Cause she likes him! Even though he a dick!
She into that pain kink.
I guess. The waitress should have been in shock, but her eyes were sparkling. When Kawase let go of her hair, she went off to grab another coffee with quite the spring in her
Dana
step.
is, what the fuck is happening?
Yeah, I don't know.
We don't know.
Okay. Oh, with a spring in her step. I don't know if I actually read that part. Once she regrouped with the other waitresses, they went back to their lively chatter.
I had to work for like 10 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, some stuff went
Some
down.
shit went down. An earthquake happened. Kraz is a freaking serial killer.
Yeah.
Someone knocked on our ceiling. She
Dave.
she likes pain. I mean,
She pressed the handkerchief Kawase had touched to her nose and ended up sharing its smell with the others nervously.
どんくさい
What a
女
stupid woman.
あ
Ugh,
あ
this is the one that fit
こ
me
れが
best
一番
too.
着慣れてたんだけどね
I still have 3 left.
まああと3着あるしいいか
なぜだ
Why?
何
What?
汚い髪
Touched your
触っちゃ
dirty
った
hair. What?
なぜなのだ
だから
I
何
said
が
what?
not
な
this.
ぜお前
Why
中
does
心
the
に
world
世界が
only
回る
revolve
のだ
around you?
Because I'm the sun sign, bitch.
You'd be happy if someone like that had a crush on you? The
嬉しいとか
problem
嬉
isn't
しくない
whether
と
I'd be
か
happy
そういう
or
問
not.
題ではなくて
Ugh.
あ
Whatever.
あもういい
He shouldn't be able to get away with his oblivious tyranny. If he'd been a politician, he would have been the target of scrutiny. If he'd been a soldier, he would have been called a rebel. But Kawase was forgiven. Stretch! That must have been the luck he was born with. But what annoyed me even more was that he himself didn't seem to derive any joy from his own selfishness. Noticing my unamused gaze, a malicious smile returned to Kawase's face.
ところで早く帰らないと
By
ま
the
ずい
way,
んじゃない
don't you need to
Ame.
hurry back? It's
Tsuyu.
raining harder.
言われなくとも
I
帰
was
る
already leaving.
No, you weren't.
Goodbye. I remembered my manuscript, gathered it up, and tapped it against the table to straighten it out. Kawase's terrible mood was improving. Perhaps he was finally giving up on his uniform.
それにしてもおかしな
Anyway,
古書店だよ
that used bookstore where you
君が
work,
働く梅鉢の
Umibachiro. It's weird.
ん
It's weird.
まあ
It smells like
誰だ
books.
Oh, yeah, I'm already used to it.
さ
Of
すが
course. It's the kind of
君
guy
も
you
君っ
are.
てやつだから
Yep.
おい
Hey!
どう
What's
い
that
う意味だ
supposed to
それ
mean?
は
Freaking weird.
変人
The
同
place
士お
suits
似合いって意
weirdos
味
like you. Well, see
そ
you.
れじゃあね
I'm looking forward to the next
期
one.
待してるよ
Tamamori-kun.
玉森くん
That damn wannabe editor.
Oh, there's a map.
Ooh. 2 years ago.
Great, just what we need is freaking time skips.
Yay. We came to the capital from the countryside of Aizu. Kawase and I had been together for as long as I could remember, so he was something like a childhood friend.
Sure.
Long ago, we would often play by the mountain streams. We'd fish and catch bugs and laugh together. I say laugh together, but Kawase had that same finicky personality even back then.
I was thinking he got hit in the head with a rock or something and all his funness oozed out.
Right? So he wouldn't touch the fish he caught and let all the bugs he kept die. Anyway, he was a fussy man.
Pretty sure I remember something in Criminal Minds that's like a sign of a serial killer.
What, letting bugs die?
Yeah. No, it's actually just killing animals, but I was
Yeah.
making a joke.
That's why what I thought was fun and what he thought was fun were probably completely different. People were generally shocked whenever I talked about our relationship. They joked, friends today, enemies tomorrow. For better or worse, he and I were complete opposites. Unlike me, Kawase was flexible, unique, special, a genius.
What kind of thing is flexible?
I don't know. My writing, like the piece from earlier, had the power to captivate people. No, it didn't.
No.
And yet Kawase's true nature, like what he had shown the waitress and me, was pitch black. The reason we could hurl our insults at each other and still hang out together could be summed up in a few words.
I liked his dick.
We were childhood friends.
Or that.
The streetcar, which was running a little behind schedule, finally came. Is this still 2 years ago?
I don't know.
Suddenly pushed in, was forced to stand in the corner of the car. The rain was coming down hard now, making the midday sky dim. It was a cold rain. I wondered how long this year's rainy season would last.
I don't think
Someone
we're 2
once
years
said,
ago.
I don't know.
Is this like a real murderer mystery? Because he's 100% either the killer or we'll find the killer because they think the same.
Yeah, I really don't actually know what this story is about at all. All I know is that it's supposed to be a, like, BL Otome game. That's all I got.
Of course, the BL one is fucked up.
Yeah, well, like the other ones are. Okay. Someone once said, instead of asking the rain in the sky, ask the
Oh.
cat.
Hey, how long is the rainy season going to
Umber doesn't care. Cats. Animals. Speaking of animals, the streetcar went from Konda Bridge to Jinbocho via the Nishikicho riverside. Wow, this is going to test my ability to read Romanized Japanese. A smoky fragrance gently wafted by when I jumped from the streetcar. It was the unique atmosphere that drifted through the old book town of Jinbocho.
This is why you're reading that.
Used bookstores here and there were closing up their shops because of the rain. Customers were driven out in groups.
Oh no, rain!
The shopkeepers were indifferent to them only during times like this. Can you get off me? The customers without umbrellas had no choice but to find a place for cover other than under the eaves. Overflowing with sighs, they ran through the old book town. Boy. I was in a hurry, but not because I wanted to get out of the rain. There was a reason I needed to get back to the shop right away.
I left my body there.
Right?
It's decomposing.
The shop was called
Cool.
The shop was called. Okay. The shop was called Umebachito. Umebachito. Okay.
Isn't Ume like
Umebachito.
food?
Ume?
Yeah.
Umebachito. Located on the outskirts of the old book town, it was an iron building that at first glance didn't appear to be a used bookstore. It was a mysterious building that looked more like a nobleman's storehouse or a bank's treasury. I leaned my umbrella against my shoulder and opened the doors using both hands and an abundance of force. We only opened... Yeah, no, that's right. We only opened shop during gloomy rain.
It's such a bad business decision that you even had to stop. You're like, wait, what?
店主、ただいま戻りまし
Boss, I'm back!
た。はい。
Okay. Okay.
I'm guessing it was soju.
The shopkeeper gave me a small nod from behind the shoji. He coughed a few times and seemed to be turning over in his bed.
We're dying?
I guess. The shopkeeper said he suffered from an illness, so yes, dying. That's why, in an effort to be as considerate as possible, I kept myself from hurrying as I headed up to the second floor. I burst into my room, stumbled, walked over the futon I never put away, and jumped toward the fishbowl.
That looks like a vase and not a fish.
Kinyo.
That's an ugly fish.
Goldfish!
Oh,
in the
good
bowl.
crackers.
In the bowl was a goldfish swimming around in a huff. I looked down at him and felt like I could finally breathe.
How does a fish swim around in a huff?
Thank goodness. The animal I had remembered on the streetcar was this guy. Record scratch. Okay, I had been worried the earthquake earlier may have frightened him, but it didn't look. Okay, so it's not 2 years ago, but it didn't look like any water had spilled out. The bowl hadn't even moved. Apparently, Umibachito didn't just look sturdy. I click. What is that?
It's a fish.
The water was cloudy.
It pooed itself.
I guess I'd been so engrossed with my manuscript over the past 3 days and nights that I hadn't even thought about cleaning out his bowl.
I didn't know a fishbowl could get that dirty that quickly.
This won't do, I thought as I grasped the goldfish tightly in my hand and scooped it out of the dirty water. The goldfish writhed, gasping for air. Well, I know you're suffering, but please hang in there. I threw the dirty water out.
I feel sorry if that.
Same. I threw the dirty water out the window and tossed the goldfish into the now empty bowl. This poor goldfish. Does this have a rating for animal cruelty? You'll have to suffer for just a little longer. I felt around the rain gutter above my head and pulled out the cork plug.
Oh wait, is this before modern plumbing?
It might be. What is... Okay. As soon as I did, the rain that had fallen from the roof into the gutter drained into the fishbowl.
Is it there like leaves and shit in there?
I guess not. Freed from gravity, the goldfish swam around peacefully. I plugged the rain gutter back up and was filled with the happiness at seeing my now content goldfish. A shadow suddenly flickered beneath the fishbowl.
Or it's a cat.
When I moved the bowl, I saw a red umbrella looking up at me in shock.
That's not.
No, but it looks the same. Crude as usual, I see.
Minakami,
Minakami, what good timing, I just got back.
Is this guy?
Yeah. Perfect time. I feel like I don't have enough voices because these are all guys and like they can't all be in my lower register. I feel like I need to give somebody an accent. What does he have?
Southern. I don't know.
I can't really do a southern accent that well.
Well, now you have practice.
This is gonna be great. I apologize in advance because this is gonna suck. Yeah, perfect timing.
The logical thing would have made me read it. Thank God you didn't choose that.
It's raining again, just like you said it would. Thanks to you, I didn't get very wet. I see. What's wrong? You seem kind of down.
Wait. Back it up. What does he mean that it's because of you I didn't get wet?
He said it was gonna rain, so he brought an umbrella.
When did that happen?
I don't know, it's inferred.
My brain hurts.
What's wrong? You seem kind of down.
I'm not in Southern America.
Don't grab your goldfish with your bare hands. I'm gonna die before this is over. No. Okay. So he'd even seen me doing that, huh? The old man at the goldfish shop told me to do it that way. But I feel bad for it. What? You got a problem with it? Really a problem. More like advice on how to take care of your goldfish.
Hey, Keith.
I only did it because the old man at the goldfish shop told me it was okay to do it that way.
Just a shop full of goldfish.
And a bunch of gold. No, that was right. And a bunch of the goldfish he sold you had probably died, right?
Okay, Cindy.
Hello, boys. Yeah, I wonder why.
Okay, I'm sorry, the main character should be a family girl.
Yeah, I wonder why. What's wrong? You're all worked up today. Silence.
Of a lamb.
You're being a tyrant like Kawase. I was trying to hide my bad mood, but he'd seen right through me. When my face suddenly fell, he immediately smiled. Then he twirled his umbrella and came into the shop. Stick in the mud. Say what you want about my competitive nature, but I didn't want to be compared to Kawase. I gave my goldfish a heap of food to console him, then went downstairs to where Minakami was waiting.
The fish man doesn't even know what the fuck's going on.
I don't, yeah, no, me neither.
How many childhood friends does this boy have?
Like Kawase, Minakami was another childhood friend from the same village, and also a student at the Imperial University.
I'm pretty sure Minakami is Kawaze, just happier.
Right? Minakami unwrapped the cloth he had brought with him and pulled out some books. He took a few and returned them to the shelf slowly enough to make me yawn. Whew. I watched this daily scene with my chin resting in my hand.
適当でいいの
Anywhere
だ
is
み
fine,
なかみ
Minakami. This
ここは
isn't the
目
kind of
的があっ
place
て
you
くる
go
場
for
所じゃな
something
い
in particular.
適
You
当に
randomly look
投げ
around and
適当
randomly
に
grab something.
手に取る
That's the charm
それ
of
が梅鉢堂の面白さだ
Umebachiro. It was probably just because neither I nor the shopkeeper wanted to go through the trouble of organizing. But wording it that way made it more novel. Click.
そういうことだったの
You
か
look exactly the
Ready?
same!
Seeing
ルイコが並ん
Yoshi
でいるの
next
を
to
見てからこの
Ruiko
店はおかし
makes
いと思
me
ってい
think
た
this
が
shop is strange, but
You know what else is strange, sir? Your accent.
Minakami nodded in understanding as he continued to return the books to the shelf, his hands moving as if he was tracing constellations.
だからお前な
I'm telling you,
なあ玉森
Tamamori,
今気がついた
I
んだ
just
が
realized it now,
やは
but
り
it's not
無意味なんて
completely
ことはないよ
meaningless. What is it? Minakami pointed toward the top shelf of the bookcase as if he had found the planet Venus.
What
among
is
the
with this random astronomy?
I don't know.
いろはに
A, B, C, D, E.
ほら
F
例え
you.
ばル
Third
イコの80万年
instance,
後の社会の隣
Ruiko's
に
the
は
world
ヨシアの花物語
800,000
が
years
並んで
later
る
is next to Yoshi's
本の
flower
題名順
tales.
に並べら
They're
れている
arranged by popularity. I don't know what I'm doing with
それ
my
を
books.
適当というなら
Yeehaw!
Ugh. That's random too. I finally stood up, grabbed the books from his hand, and shoved them onto the shelf.
考えすぎ
Am I
た
overthinking it?
Yes.
Your love of
Mystery
mystery is getting worse. If there's a
だが
pattern, it
批判
should be
があるな
followed.
ら守るにこそ
I pulled out Kyosaku's double heart, which Minakami had just put back, and went to return it to the top shelf. Or at least I tried to, but no matter how much I jumped, I couldn't reach. Minakami nudged the spine with his hand and pushed it to the back
Aw,
of the
is
shelf.
our main character a
玉森
shorty?
はこっちを頼む
I'll leave these to you, yeah, no, that was right. Tamamori. It's
That's
weird to say all of these Japanese names in this accent because it doesn't fit very well.
Just imagine Tamamori talking to Minakami said, I'll leave these for you, Tama. No, that's right, Tama.
I can't say your name
Tamamori.
very well. Tamamori.
I
sounds
gained
wrong.
this southern accent all of a sudden.
Okay. All 5 books he had given to me went onto the bottom shelf. Before I could glare at him and tell him not to make fun of me, he looked back up. I reluctantly got on my knees and put away the books, following his lead. How many books did you end up reading over the
3日間
past
で
3
何
days?
冊読んだんだ
20冊は借りたかな
I borrowed 20 books, I think.
Hey, it's
20
Dana.
20冊って
I hadn't even read that many books this year.
新作は入れ
Do
た
you
か
have anything new?
1ヶ月前から何も
Nothing's
変わって
changed
い
in
な
a
いぞ
month.
そう
Let's
か
see.
残念そうだな
Sound disappointed. Don't tell me
ま
you've
さ
read
か
all the
こ
books
こにあ
here.
る本全部読破したのか
おそらく
Probably. There
も
aren't
う
any
ピ
new
ンとくる
titles
題
that
名は
stand
ない
out.
から
Once Minakami had finished returning all 20 books he borrowed, he bent back and looked along the shelves. Then he let out a distant sigh full of a sense of accomplishment.
4000
We
冊あるん
have
だぞ
4,000 books.
何冊
I'd
かはすで
already
に読んだ
read
こと
some
が
of
あ
the
るものだっ
books
たか
here
ら
before, so
実
I've
際
actually
読ん
only
だのは
read about
300冊くらい
3,000
だ
of them.
一段落
I guess I've
つい
reached
て
a
しまった
stopping
のだ
point. Minakami was an abnormally avid reader. What are you looking at?
Nothing.
No.
Just pulling up our stream manager.
If there was a story he hadn't read, it was like he couldn't relax until he had the book. Even though I say he couldn't relax, it was like he would fly into a. It wasn't like he would fly into a frenzy or anything. If he found a story he didn't know, he would gently take it in his hands, head to the register, and pay. Then he'd sell it back once he was done reading it. That was all. At first glance, he seemed to be a casual reader, but reading every book in the Imperial University's library was definitely abnormal.
そうい
By
え
the
ば
way,
川
you
瀬に
said
批評をもらう
Kawase
とか
was
言って
going
ただろ
to give you a
今
critique,
日はどう
right?
だった
How'd it go today? Huh?
あ
Yeah,
あ
about
あれ
that.
な
Hi, Dana.
散々だったよ
He tore it apart.
He didn't tear it
Tore
apart.
it apart.
He burned it.
一
Just
体
what didn't
何
he
が
like
気に入らな
about
かっ
it?
たんだろ
Minakami looked thoroughly confused. Unable to bear seeing his face like that, I immediately averted my gaze. He didn't think there was such a thing as a poor piece of literature or writing. That's- oh,
Have you
Jesus
read
Christ.
Twilight?
I was gonna say also some of the stuff on AO3. That's why he
Fanfiction.net.
wouldn't- right? That's why he wouldn't hold back with his praise for me. Honestly, when I realized that, I had wondered if it was really okay to find comfort in that ambiguity. I'm trying to read.
I'm sorry. I'll tell my lungs to stop.
Yeah, if you could please.
Lungs stop. She drops her controller.
Where
Oh,
did
poor
it-
cat.
Where did it go?
You know, she's like, eh. Say hi, Tina.
You do smell
I would have given you I feel like I give you a bath every 2 weeks. Why do you smell like pee? Stop letting your brothers lick you and pee on you.
good. That's disgusting.
I mean, he doesn't get peed on. I like how the mouse is just like,
But Vanessa.
Oh god. I feel like Friday stream's just gonna be crack streams.
Okay.
Alright, now my serious face.
And recently, I had been asking that brute Kawase for his critiques. If Kawase was the whip, Minakami was candy.
I'm also confused about this. One causes pain, one is sweet.
He was a candy sweeter than Kalski. We gonna do a quick Google search, y'all.
Okay, Minakame. Is an iron carbonated soft drink. It's a brand of soft drink.
Got it.
The beverage has a light, somewhat milky and slightly acidic flavor. Similar to plain or vanilla flavored yogurt, and it was started in 1919. Became popular in pre-war Japan.
Sweet.
The more you know.
The more you know.
It was originally themed on the Milky Way, which maybe is why we're getting all these freaking astrological stuff.
What my wounded ego needed right now was that sweet candy named Minakami. Ooh.
This is
明日
getting
の昼川瀬
spicy.
が梅鉢堂に来ることになってる
What is this game?
だからお前も来いそして川瀬に行って聞かせるのだ
Kawase will be coming to Umebachi. Why do I keep messing up this name? Umebachido tomorrow afternoon. Come to and give Kawase a piece of your mind. A piece of my mind about what?
何をだ
About my
私の
shining
輝かざる
ability.
才能
If
に
you
つい
tell
て
him,
だ
it may even
お
change
前
the
が
way
言え
he
ば
sees
やつ
me.
も少しは私を見返すかもしれん
Sorry,
すまん
I have class in
明
the
日の昼は
afternoon,
講
so
義
I
があっ
don't
て
have much time
そう
to.
多くは時間を
私
You're
の
not
言うこ
going
と
to
が
do
聞
what
け
I
ないの
say?
か
Oh my god!
嫌
Ooh,
に
that
必死だ
desperate, huh?
講義の合間に
Between
行けたら行
classes
くよ
if I can.
Can you scroll?
いいや
No,
必
you
ず
will
来る
come.
だから行け
I
たら
mean, if I can.
必
You
ず
will
来る
come.
I feel like you need to go to a doctor.
So
about that if you
glad.
can't.
Don't
You
get
do
in
you.
a tizzy. I wasn't in a tizzy at all.
You need to
I
calm
was
your
just
tits.
lonely. I was lonely. Lonely. I'm Mr. Lonely.
I don't know, he
たまに
doesn't sound too lonely when he's screaming at a dude going, "You will come!"
This isn't like you, Tamamori. Silence.
これでも読ん
Read
で元
this
気
and
出せ
cheer us up. Why does it keep saying a new word saved? There's nothing there. Minakami said as he handed me the last book left in his hand. Wondering what it was, I took a look at the cover. It's Kiyosaku Yumeno's Dogra Magra.
Let me look that up.
Dogra Magra.
That's probably the new word.
Probably.
This novel was first published in 1935. Isn't this in 1920?
1922!
Okay. This novel was first published in 1935 to almost no acclaim whatsoever. He is pretty much compared to Kafka or Poe.
Alright.
Okay. Apparently, Minakami can travel into the future and get books.
Oh dear.
Oh no. That was a noise.
Oh, a murder mystery about a young man with amnesia locked up in an insane asylum. The words Dogra Magra are nonsensical and meant to emulate the babbling of a baby.
Huh.
Oh dear.
Culture.
Okay.
店の商品を借りっぱなしじゃ悪いからな。
Once you're done with it,
読み終
I
わ
don't
ったら
mind if you
商
add
品
it
と
to
して
your
並べてく
file.
れて構わない。
It's new, so you should
新
charge
作だか
more
ら
for it.
高値をつけてもいいんじゃないか？
Well, considering it hasn't been published for 13 more years, I would say yes, it's pretty new.
Yeah.
いらん、持っ
I
て帰れ
don't。want it. Take it with you.
ど
Wow,
うしてだ？
I thought you'd
喜
enjoy
ぶ
it.
と思ったのに。
I'm busy at the moment.
私は
I
今
don't need to
忙し
see
いの
someone
だ。
else's vision.
他人の無双など見ていられん。
そうか、
I'll see.
残念だ
That's
な。
too bad.
えおい、勝手
Don't
に
just
商
go
品に合わせる
adding
な
it。to the shelf.
バレたか。
You
He's
caught me.
standing right there!
You calmly put it on the shelf right in front of me.
I think this is his thoughts.
You?
I think,
Reader insert. I was so irritable today, I couldn't even get through Minakami's little joke. I went back to the register and slumped over so far that I ended up lying across the counter.
been there, done
Yeah,
that.
same. I saw a single piece of paper flutter down from my slanted point of view. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was written on it in bold print. Is it that old?
So I know what my role is going to be through this. Is going to be Googling. It was a 1931 film.
That's not
It was first published in 1886, so yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
We're going to get some education from this game.
I peeled it off the desk, lifting it high above my head out of reflex.
震える悪魔って。
I don't know what that was. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde?
The Japanese version of Dr. Jekyll.
ずっと見たがっていただろう。
You've been wanting to see it, right? See it?
Didn't I see the
Don't
movie?
show
Show
it
it
again?
again? Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde was a horror film. The main characters were a man named Dr. Jekyll and his other personality, Hyde.
When did the movie come out?
I don't know. It showed at the Nikatsu Theater in Kanda last spring, but I had missed its run and now it was here.
1941 in
I am
America.
so confused about the...
1931, perhaps.
Maybe we misread what it said and it wasn't 22, it was 32.
I'm pretty sure when I looked it up, it also said it was in the 1920s.
I couldn't believe Toyo Cinema was rerunning
Yep.
it.
In the 1920s. So
Whatever.
I don't know.
I checked the date and time. It would be playing tomorrow afternoon.
Well, apparently you did not check the date and time because you're very early.
Yes. It didn't seem to be some sort of cruel joke either.
奥さんから招待券をいただいたんだ。ご婦人方は怪奇映画に興味がないそうだ。
Madame gave me tickets. It would seem that ladies have no interest in horror films. Excuse me.
そりゃ
Of
そう
course
だ。
not. Women
女
and
子供に
children
は
wouldn't
分からんよ。
understand.
けど、
But you're busy.
お前が
行かない理由
I'm
が
sorry
な
I
い。
cut you off. I have no reason not to go. I thrust the ticket deep into my sleeve. Minakami was shocked by how enthusiastically I made up my mind, but he just smiled and nodded. I figured you'd
そう
say
言う
that.
と思ったよ。
Why don't we meet up at Toyo
明日の
Cinema
夜、
tomorrow night?
東洋記念まで待ち合わせでいいか？
Ika.
あ、
We haven't even met everyone.
I know, but so
And also, Dana's the only one who's here.
I know.
Okay. Hi,
Look.
Okay. Minakami folded his cloth and stuffed it in his bag, then put on his still damp mantle. Huh?
も
You're
う行く
leaving
のか
already?
デー
An
トに
old
古い
friend
友
of
人
mine
が
has
来て
come
い
to
る
the
んだ
capital. I'm off
これ
to
から会い
meet
に
up
行って
with
くれ
him.
Is he
Get
blonde?
that
Can we get a
view.
blonde?
私の
I
知り
feel
合い
like
か
we need a blonde.
Someone I know? This is set in Japan.
So? This is not bad, man.
ああいや
We need a
どうだろう
pink haired person.
No, I don't think so.
どう
You
だ
don't
ろうって
think so?
お前
We were old friends. So didn't that mean they were just normal acquaintances?
That's not how that works.
But Minakami would say nothing more about it, so I stopped pressing him. You're trying to show off again.
Does he have a voice in the back of
I
his
don't know, maybe. I wasn't sure if he heard my grumbling, but he opened his umbrella and smiled even wider.
勉強も頑張れよ
Keep up with your studies. Yeah, I guess.
Umbra,
Salad.
I need a
田舎に残し
comfort.
たばあさん
For
の
the
ために
grandmother you left back home in the country.
So-
In the country. That has nothing to do with this. I was going to throw out my usual comeback, but instantly fell silent. As if he'd seen through it, Minakami furrowed his brows, but immediately hid behind the edge of his umbrella.
Umbra, do
Then,
you
like a
understand?
falling leaf, he swiftly passed me and disappeared.
Do you understand what's going on?
Bye?
Adios.
Minakami was gone. All that remained was the sound of the rain. Still, he always left a strange, lingering presence. Maybe he himself didn't realize how unusual it felt. It must have been something only I noticed.
Is this like a vampire thing?
I don't know. Minakami never said goodbye. His departures were always vague. It made me think he would suddenly show up again if I called his name. I was probably the only one who noticed that. But keep up with my studies, huh? Oh my god. I rested my cheek against the counter again and flipped through a reference book Minakami had given me. It had been 2 years. Just look. Since he gave you the book, or since the last time. I'm guessing since he gave him the book. Okay. Just looking at the old reference book made me realize that the time had gone by in the blink of an eye.
Hi, Stinky Boy.
I mentioned it before, but Kawase Minakami and I had come to the capital 2 years ago. To say the capital had the finest educational institute in Japan wouldn't have been an exaggeration, and we came to take the Imperial University's entrance exam. I had studied for it. Even though I sometimes read fantasy novels and went to the movies, I had studied ever so diligently, all the same. But a year later, only Kawase and Minakami were accepted to the Imperial University. I can see
That did sound like a no, I don't know what it is.
Since I didn't think any of us would actually pass, I never dreamed I would be the only one to fail. Tamamori's story. At the time, well, I can barely read that. At the time, Minakami and I were under the care of a philanthropist. I was not going to read it that way. Named
I
Oizumi.
could tell when you said Phil.
I was gonna read it as philanthropist, and I was like, that's not right. Philanthropist. Named Oizumi. She was a widow who acted as if she didn't expect anything from us country bumpkins. Country bumpkins! He is allowed to have a country accent! Take as long as you'd like, she said. I had been moved by her words, by those ones in particular. Okay. But when it came to me, the one who didn't pass, she looked at me with blatant disgust. Right. 2 years had gone by, and then this year, she had given me a final notice to vacate.
Get the fuck out.
She kicked me out of her house. She told me to be grateful she'd provided me with meals and a place to sleep. Like I cared. If you're going to act like a virtuous person, see it through to the end. I provided food and a home for my goldfish, but I didn't feel any bitterness toward him. In fact, I wanted him to ask more of me. He's a goldfish. I was much more noble than she was. And the shopkeeper of Umebachiro was even more noble.
Even though he died.
玉森くん、ちょっと散歩してくるよ。
Tamamori-kun, I'm going out for a stroll.
ああ、はい。
Okay.
店番お願い
Please look
し
out
ま
for the
す。
shop. I heard the back door open. His footsteps and muffled coughs melted into the sound of the rain. Okay.
Did he not shut the door?
It had only been a month ago. I don't understand! The time makes no sense! Okay.
Oh.
Okay. I'd been driven out of the Oizumi house. I'd fled from her home. Rain? Like what? Oh, okay, that makes sense, but the English is weird. Okay, I'd fled from her home. Rain like what we were having today beating down on me. It's a weird English sentence. I'd had no money, no shelter. What had awaited me in the drizzle was Umebachiro's large front doors.
My milkshake is like hot.
Well, maybe don't put it right next to your fan.
Yeah, well, now it's already so fine.
To get out of the rain, I pretended to look for books. When I let out a gloomy sigh, though, the shopkeeper had spoken to me from the back of the store. I was like a broken record that day. I tried to say something, but I couldn't answer. My voice just cracked. It was the only sound I could get out. Yes. But the shopkeeper, with his calm voice full of understanding, had fixed the needle on my record and made me play it all. Excuse me.
That's an interesting metaphor.
He listened to how I'd fled from my previous lodgings, to how I hadn't eaten anything for half a day, to how it had been more than a day since I'd bathed. And once he was done listening, he offered me a deal. If I ran the shop, he would rent out the room on the second floor to me. The shop was closed when it was sunny. He said he wanted me to open and run the shop only on rainy days. Every morning, he would leave enough money for my meals for the day by the register. That was the only material exchange between us. That's right. I'd never seen the shop's owner, not even once. Okay. Can you get off my computer, please?
It's a prom.
Well, whatever.
You gonna join us? Well, you're gonna lick your butt while you're doing it, but...
I went back to leaning my face against my hand and watching the scenery blurred by the rain outside. I was bored. Not really bored. I just couldn't muster any strength into my sluggish body. But I urged myself on, grabbed a feather duster, and wandered around the shop. Suddenly, I felt like I saw Kawase through the bookshelves. It was definitely the image of the moment he dug his cigarette into my manuscript. Then, clear as day, I saw Kawase's vulgar smile. Apparently, I really was having a hard time dealing with his harsh criticism. Or something else. I looked away from that moment and plopped onto the floor.
Oh, it's schizophrenia.
It was annoying. Way too annoying.
This legit looks like a Harry Potter freaking fan art.
Right? Maybe it would have been better if a complete stranger had said that to me. But I'd have to keep facing him tomorrow and the day after. There was no way I could run from him now. I was the one who'd asked for his critique. As a writer. All I could do was continue spewing out stories.
And now we
Look at
get
my
to
knee!
Zoom into your
A writer.
chest.
What sort of writer was I if I couldn't even satisfy a single person? Kawase's a dick. Pick somebody else to read your story.
Post it on AO3.
Right? Kawase holding me back was the reason I never considered taking anything to a publisher. There was probably nothing I could create that would ever captivate him. I'd probably never be able to write anything that would make that guy smile and tell me I'd done a good job. Praise King. I set my glasses on top of my head and used the palms of my hands to rub my closed eyes.
Oh, that actually feels really good. What is this music?
I don't know. Stars scattered behind my eyelids.
You pushed it too hard.
Unusual sparkling patterns formed. When I opened my eyes, the area had transformed into a strange blue dimension.
Did you take a hit of acid?
Naughty the F? Oh my god. When I happened to look forward, I found this guy standing in the rain. Drops dramatically bounced off the leaf he was using him as an
Hey,
umbrella.
Umbra, he's almost
He
as round
seemed
as
to
you.
be slowly thinking something over in his head while he held his breath in his stomach. It was as if he had made up his mind about something. Oh god, I don't even know. I don't even know if I can do anything like that. That'd be fun. Oh, this is gonna be terrible. Books, please! That was all the frog said. Oh, Jesus Christ.
Have fun. That's gonna include your
Give
vote.
me books, please!
ダメだ
I'm not like
お前
killing
のような
Mike,
偉業
am
に
I?
本
Like people
は売
aren't.
れん
I'm not gonna blow out their eardrums.
I don't think so.
Okay. No way. We don't sell books to strange creatures like you.
僕は異形なんかじゃありません。本読みが大好きな小学
I'm gonna turn down the mic a little bit.
I'm not a strange creature. I'm a first grader who loves to read. By the way, this kind of thing happened to me quite often.
What? What? Stop taking acid.
Right? I'd had the ability to see strange things for a long time. Except this wasn't anything supernatural. It was an illusion produced by my subconscious. You're hallucinating? The opening title was, or theme was called Hallucinations. Honestly, there was a part of me that was a little disappointed this hallucination was only a frog. If his form had been more grotesque, this scene would have been much more dramatic.
本をください。
Books, please!
えい黙れ
Hey, shut it!
本をください。
Books, please!
お前は
You
あ
were
の日
killed
あの
that
時
day.
あの橋で殺されたのだそれに気づかぬ
Okay,
愚かな
sorry.
偉
It was
業
just
よ
I was not expecting it, so the words wouldn't come out. You were killed that day way back when on the bridge, but you didn't realize what had happened, so you took on that stupid weird form.
さあ成仏しろ
Rest in peace. Yeah, that wasn't so bad. It was strange. No matter how poor my creations may have been in the moment, they seemed brilliant. When I'd asked Kawase about that phenomenon, he'd called it narcissism derived from arrogance. It was definitely arrogance. Those stupid eyes, those short legs, that nervously trembling body. I was starting to find the hallucination somewhat amusing.
I need comfort.
Suddenly, I was no longer myself.
Are you a frog?
The main character was...
Keith?
Yo! Right, the owner of a used bookstore by all appearances, but he was secretly a medium. It was a setup that made me think of a certain someone, but whatever. The main character should be refined, imposed, and wear glasses that make him look like an idiot. Where's J. Michael Tatum when you need him? But then he would shockingly use a hickish word like ain't.
ほら
Ain't. I.
The frogman's eyes opened wide when he looked over at Haruhiko, the shopkeeper. What was the noise? Taking a direct hit, the frogman sank into the opposite wall. Wasted. Cruel! You're so cruel! Ah!
おかえりネガオここは
Oh,
君の来る
that
場所では
didn't
ない
go that low.
I mean, I can, like, suppose I could just talk right in here. Okay, I pray for your return.
Like my voice just doesn't want to stay there.
Your balls don't want to drop?
My balls don't want to drop.
You should go get a surgery like Banchan. I'll hope by upping the mic a little bit.
I can just lean forward, it's fine. I pray for your return home. You don't belong here.
We need to get like a blue yeti or something.
ひどい。
So cruel! I just wanted to read some books!
Not just one
君にジンゴが読めるかね
Just like that, you pissed off all the Christians.
Can you, I can't. Can you read the human language?
読めないから読むんです。
I read because I can't read!
僕も人間にな
I do it so I can learn and become human! So that human... This doesn't make any sense.
あの人間と
So that's human.
Okay, I'm ready. Oh, wow, okay. The tears the frogman cried turned into nourishment and replenished the moisture in his body. Plop! You're supposed to be making sound effects. Make a plop noise. He rolled off the wall and took the defensive, turning his eyes tinged with rage toward Haruhiko. The frogman skillfully manipulated his tongue and began to push books off the shelves one by one. Haruhiko's attacks and blocks were in vain, as the tongue suddenly pierced through a bookcase. Books rained down from the falling bookcase. However, the decision Haruhiko made in that very instant was even more surprising.
He's gonna doodle. He's gonna do origami.
I don't know if he's gonna draw. When I suddenly snapped out of it, I was lying on the floor grasping a pen. Before me was a manuscript I was in the middle of writing. Perhaps because I was writing before the ink could dry, there were several letters
So
smudged to
he
the left.
writes these stories hallucinating?
I guess. Like, I don't know, maybe it's just like his imagination is just running wild, and so he's just like, I'm really good at pretending things are in front of me.
LSD.
Maladaptive daydreaming.
LSD.
Or drugs. Apparently, I had been a little overzealous.
There was a person behind it.
I counted the scattered manuscript pages as I gathered them up, but I was missing the first page. When I happened to turn around, a man was looking down at me, concerned.
I would be too.
Oh, dear.
その
Man with eye patch.
大丈夫ですか？
His voice sounds familiar.
Are you alright?
ええ、
Yeah,
大丈夫です。
I'm alright. I'm safe.
私は無事です。
That's what it says.
無事？
Safe.
これ足元に
Here.
落ちていま
This
した。
fell by my feet.
ありがとうございます。
Thank you.
Eye patch man should have a British accent.
Okay. He was still standing there.
何か？
What? I'm sorry.
ごめんなさい。
He
You're a
jumped
sweetheart,
back
I already
and
love you.
put some distance between us. He looked at me and scratched his eye patch as if he were embarrassed. Once I got a better look, I recognized him. He was a customer who always came in the evening. That meant that half of the day had already passed.
You good, buddy?
I let out a directionless sigh. The man seemed to misunderstand and jumped a bit. Excuse me.
君は作家さんなんですね。
You're a writer, aren't you?
何
You
か
got a problem
文句
with
でも
that?？
ええ、そんな。
No, of course not.
落ちている原稿
I
を
read a little of the
少し
manuscript you dropped.
読んでしまったんです。悪気は
I
ないん
didn't
で
mean
す。
any harm. It
ただ
just
目に
happened
つ
to
いて
catch my eye.
すみ
My
ま
one,
せん。
because the other was covered.
面白かったです。
Sorry, it was interesting.
You didn't have to
それ
point that
でこの
out.
私に何をですか？
Did you need something from me?
I'm gonna start calling you Shiro.
これを
I'd like to
お会計
buy
してもらいたくて。
this.
Catfight intermission.
Cut!
1 second, guys.
Dear Lord.
Continue.
Okay. In his hand was Kiyosaku's Dogura Magra.
The future book.
Damn Minakami. He had ended up shoving it onto the bookshelf after all.
それに関してお
I
題
don't
はい
need
り
money
ませ
for
ん。
that.
でも
It's a
結
pretty new
構
book.
真
though.
新しい本ですし。
Are you guys dumb? Which one is funny?
From alum.
Oh.
いいんで
It's
す。
fine.
欲し
If
い
you
なら
want
黙っ
it,
ても
shut
らっ
up
て
and
くだ
take
さい
it.。Thank
あり
you.
がとうございます。
In that case, I appreciate
そ
your
れじゃあ
kindness.
ご好意に甘えて。
He has a different kink with every
What
boy.
an overly dramatic guy. He continued to stand there, nervously wringing his hands and biting his lips. Just reminds me of the frickin' like, who said that this was attractive?
Well, that face is on the
You
internet.
look like a
from.
housefly. Like, okay. Anyway, I slipped past past him and returned to the register. He looked at me as if he still had something to say.
Your butt's cute.
What is with you?
なんですかさっきから。
すみ
すみません。
You have cute ass.
6時には店を閉めます
The
よ。
store is closing at 6.
その
I mean,
Attention all shoppers.
物々交換というのは
how about
どうですか？
a trade? So that's what he decided to say? He slowly opened his bag and pulled out some sort of goldfish watering can made of tin. What is
What
a
is a
goldfish watering can?
This is the thing.
I didn't expect him to place it by the register with a clunk. Huh?
僕、ブリキの収
I
集が
collect
趣味で
tin toys,
その
so not to.
Is that a goldfish? Is that water cannon?
It's a watering can in the shape of a goldfish. Got it. Okay. Not to the point where you carry them around, though, right?
ごめんなさい。
Sorry.
気持ち悪い
Giving
です
you
よね。
something like
い
this
きな
out
り
of the
こんな
blue.
こと。
That's
ごめん
creepy,
なさい。
isn't it? I'm sorry.
ごめんなさい。
Sorry.
気持ち悪く
Sorry for
て
being
ごめんなさい。
It was creepy. What I was thinking must have gotten through to him. Once he'd calmed down, his face turned red and he ran out of Umiba Cheeto. Why don't you just say the shop?
You could just substitute it.
Ume? Umeba. The only ones left were me and the goldfish watering can. What was that about? I let out a sigh as I looked into the goldfish's pretty eyes. The sigh, though, was unrelated to the goldfish's pretty eyes. Okay. What a weirdo.
鬼人だな。
Anyway, I'd managed to finish a short story about a heroic battle unfolding between a used bookstore owner and a yokai. I gathered the bulky manuscript and looked it over fondly. But for some reason, my face began to fall as I turned each page. Suddenly, it seemed boring. I figured Minakami would definitely enjoy it since his tastes were closer to my own, but I mostly wondered how Kawase would feel about it.
You really
Yeah,
want
I should probably avoid showing it to Kawase. I turned the manuscript over and put the ink bottle on top as a weight. It was something like a gut feeling. For some reason, my suddenly cooled fervor made my heart feel as though it were crumbling to pieces. I wondered why. This was the first time I'd ever felt this way.
It's love.
Don't go breaking my heart. At that moment, the cuckoo clock sleepily struck 6. It was closing time. Closing time. The rain was coming down even harder, and it was so cold I wondered if it would turn into snow. Chasing out the sound of the rain, I closed the doors, then looked around the shop once more. In the end, the only customer today had been that man with the eye patch. But he hadn't really bought
Apparently,
anything.
Minakami is shit.
He wasn't at the store. He wasn't in this. Oh, well, he wasn't a customer. Technically, I guess. But he hadn't really bought anything, so I had no money to turn over to the shopkeeper. Actually, I never earned more money than what the shopkeeper gave me for food. That was another reason that Umeba was a mysterious shop.
玉森くん、私は先に寝るよ。
Tamamori-kun, I'm heading to bed.
帰ってきていたんですか？
ええ、
Yes.
2時間
I
ほど
got
前
back
にね、
about 2 hours ago.
声
I
を
said
かけた
something
じゃ
to
ない
you.
そ
か。
そういえ
Now
ば。
that you mention it. When he was in the middle of his writing fervor. I'm back. Get away! It's dangerous here!
何かと戦っていたのか
I
な。
guess you were fighting something.
それじゃあおやすみなさい。
Good night.
You said that 200. Sit down there.
Well, good night.
Good.
Good night.
Good day, mate.
Good night, mate. The light clicked off.
私は風呂屋に行ってきます。
I'll be going to the bathhouse.
Oh, is this about to get some NC-17 here?
風邪をひかないよ
You
うに
know what? You
ね。
can be the shopkeeper.
Alright. Try not to catch a cold.
Okay, Eeyore. As far as I could remember, the shopkeeper had never pressed me about money, not even once. In short, this place was heaven to an unscrupulous person such as myself. Yep, 1922. Even though it was only 6 o'clock, the sky was totally dark thanks to the rainy weather.
Are you ready, brother?
Everyone was deep under their umbrellas, while I was freezing under my black mantle. I should have at least worn long sleeves, but I'd ended up foolishly picking out a short sleeve dress shirt, so I was freezing. Idiot. People who were weak to the cold were gathered at Saruga Kuchol's Kikai bathhouse.
Which would now be summarized as the bathhouse.
Yeah. The old men passing me by smelled unseasonably of yuzu.
What's yuzu?
I don't know.
Go!
Once I'd gone through the dressing room into the baths, the place was filled with nothing but old and middle-aged men.
It is a learning platform that delivers an enhanced digital reading experience. It's a citrus fruit.
Okay. What looked like an old woman's head bobbed among them. I took my place in the middle as I watched the old woman's head sway. Speaking of old women,
I thought this was... Are not all bathhouses separated by sex?
I mean, I don't know. Keep up with your studies. For the grandmother you left out in the country. I recalled Minakami's words.
Back to this
It's a
shitty
little
background.
late, but here's some background on myself. Scratch. Okay. My father and mother died when I was young. Right before I was born, my father was attacked by a bear and died. Then, when I was young, my mother disappeared from our village. After that, I had lived with my grandfather and grandmother. Just the three of us.
The mom's gonna come back.
But last year, I found out my grandfather had passed away. My grandmother was my only blood relative left on this earth.
And then she died.
I felt like my grandmother and I were connected by some sort of spiritual power.
Called
there
she's
was-
your grandma.
If there was anything I wanted to eat or anything I desired, she knew exactly what it was and gave it to me right away. We were connected.
Yeah,
Well,
by
maybe not.
bloodline.
The connection was only a one-way thing. I knew nothing about her.
Well, she's your grandma.
Even now, it felt like my grandmother was watching me from somewhere.
That's creepy because you're probably naked.
The old woman turned around. It was an old man. Of course an old woman would be hanging out in this bed.
I am an old man.
Naturally! When I turned around, my consciousness drifted toward the bathhouse Fuji that reached all the way to the ceiling. Okay. I'd heard the bathhouse Fuji, which was found in any old bathhouse nowadays, originated from Kikai bathhouse. Fuji's healing waters and the steam from the bath mixed together, making me feel like I was partaking in a purification ritual. Ow. It was a picturesque view no man could ever grow tired of seeing. When I happened to look over at the group of bathers to my side, they were turned away from that view of Mount Fuji, exchanging hushed whispers. I cocked my right ear to listen in for no reason in particular. Did you see? Did you hear? What? About the giant of Jinbocho. Giant? They're all gonna sound the same. He's over 6 feet tall. Another one butted in. He doesn't use an umbrella. Yeah, what's that about? And he wears a funny mask.
Oh my god.
As soon as I spotted him, he vanished. He's weird looking. Is he a monster? Or a ghost? I see. How interesting.
What's this?
What is that?
Getting ass!
Maybe it was a silent street performer for a new kabuki show. Or maybe some sort of promotion for a new motion.
I'm so happy that the cats are fighting behind us.
Yes, it's great. That earthquake earlier must have been from the giant's footsteps. Idiot. No, it had to be. He had a pretty active imagination. Says the guy who was imagining a frog.
Time skips that are...
Was in the shop. What's going on?
So I messaged in our group chat, like, this game is fucked up.
Yes.
And Nick was like, welcome to Otome. I'm like, I mean, we've had hallucination time skips that are not time skips, but are still time skips.
Yes. Young man.
And frog.
Huh? What?
その話
I'd like to hear more
詳しくお
about
聞かせ
it.
願いたい
They fell silent. After looking at each other a few times, they snorted. And then they showed me their cheeky giggling faces.
バーカ
Stupid.
Fuck.
Not-
What?
子供の
Don't
話
take
マ
such
ジになってん
immature
じゃねえ
rumors
よ。
seriously.
Am I not?
Wait,
どうい
what
う
do
こと
you
だ
mean? They instantly cracked up hard enough to shake the bath. Wow,
Then
that's
you need to
scary.
put some more foundation in your bathhouse.
When I glanced around, everyone was staring at me with dead looks in their eyes. What? What? It was like I was the one being made a fool.
おい待て。
Hey, wait!
うるせえ浪人生。
Shut up, Ronin-sei.
Isn't Ronan?
なぜそれ
Like
を。
a wanderer. What? How do you? They distanced themselves from me in a train-like precision.
Procession.
Procession. I can read. Seriously, the brats around here didn't know how to behave. If they were innocent children, they would have wanted an adult to listen to them and would gladly have told their story.
Hi, Umbra.
Right. How dare they make fun of an adult and insult the ambitious title of Ronin-sei? An annoyed groan escaped from between my clenched teeth. When I came to my senses and looked around, even more cold stares were focused on me. Not good.
Maybe just leave the bathhouse.
I sank down up to my nose in the tub and hid myself as I made my way from corner to corner. They don't give us long enough to look at the map. Without cooling off from my bath, I headed straight back to Umeba and promptly faced my manuscript. I ignored the Frogman manuscript and was going to dive right back into continuing The Phantom in the Basement, but as expected, I couldn't get the rumor I'd heard from those brats in Kikai Bathhouse out of my head. He doesn't use an umbrella. And he wears a funny mask. I figured it was a promotion for a show, but somehow it was spot on. The Phantom in the Basement normally curled up his large body in the cellar where he lived. Then, night after night, he would come up to the world on the surface.
Is
and
this
abduct-
Slender Man?
I don't know! He would come up to the world on the surface and abduct someone on the verge of death. He had no interest in those trying to live. Well, that's nice, I guess. He would...
He like smacked you. He's like, eh.
I love him. He would suddenly disappear when he'd been seen because he could sense that person's life force. Just what were the Phantom in the Basement's motives? Well, it's a long story, so I'll explain later.
思念というものがある。
There are things called ideas.
Haruhiko-san! The moment I sensed a presence, my hallucination, Haruhiko-san, was sitting right beside me. On his shoulder was the frogman,
Have
who had
fun.
shrunken down because his spiritual powers had been subdued.
何かね。
What?
Nothing.
いえ
Just what's going
ただ
on?
どうして。
筆が止まっているのはなぜかと思って出てきた所存
You
だ。
have regrets.
Yes, I do.
You could change the voice.
And to what? We're gonna have many more characters. I gotta do something.
I was wondering why you stopped moving your pen, so I figured I'd come out.
Of the closet.
We accept everybody.
My hallucinations were talking to me now. I really must have been tired. I thought about keeping quiet and letting it pass, but he began to thoroughly read my manuscript. Dude, just go in.
He's from your brain! He already knows it!
Hmm.
この
This
怪
phantom
人
is exactly like the
確か
one
に
those
さっき
young
の
men
少
were
年たち
talking
が
about.
話していた怪人
Can you
と
hear
そっく
Kelly
り
when
だ
she
な。
does that deep voice?
Can we hear me if I talk like this? I mean, like,
It's picking up on the mic.
Yeah. Can you make her
聞い
out
てたん
would
で
be
すか
better terminology?
You heard them?
思念に姿形はな
an
い。
idea has no
思
physical
念とは
form.
感情
An
と
idea is a
認識だけで
formless
形成され
existence
てい
that
る
can only
無形の
take shape through
存在だ。
emotions and awareness. 何これ?
First judging the hell out of you.
Judge
だから
me.
何の話ですか。
So, what are you talking about?
ここは何の
What
町だ
town is this,
玉森
Tamamori-kun? Tamamori-kun.
神保町本の町です。
420 plays it.
What town is this, Tamamori?
That's so funny. Okay.
Yes, we can hear it.
Great. Jinbocho, a book town.
本とは空想。空想とは無
I'll just
形。
hold it.
空想は思念。
Books are fantasy. Fantasies are
君が地下室
shapeless.
の怪人を描いたのは偶然ではない。
Fantasy. I can't even freaking do this. Fantasies are conveyed through ideas. You writing the Phantom in the basement ain't a coincidence. Boy.
どういう
What do you mean?
怪人という無形の思念が一人歩きしている
The shapeless idea of a phantom is walking around on its own.
Walking around on its own? If that was the case, did I get that idea from somewhere?
Is this at least as entertaining for you guys as it is for
そう
me?
深く考える必要は
In
ない
other
という
words, Tamamori-kun, there is no need for you to think too hard about it.
With those last words, Haruhiko-san suddenly disappeared. Thank you, I thank you. What was he thinking? I had no idea.
And just like that, Kelly's balls dropped. All without a surgery.
My hallucinations were something born from my subconscious. But up until now, I don't think I'd ever had a hallucination leave me with words I couldn't understand.
Hallucinations are from your mind? What?
Thinking about it was pointless. After all, I probably understood it subconsciously.
I regret.
For the
There we go.
For the first time in my life, the idea of having a pen in my hand seemed awful, so I lay in my futon. I stretched out my hand to turn off the light, but I couldn't reach it. All I ended up doing was illuminating my hand. I eventually gave up and shut out the light with my own eyelids. Oh dear.
Oh, God. How is it only 6 o'clock?
It had been raining since morning.
You guys gotta open the store again.
I gave my goldfish his food, but he was facing away from it as usual. Minakami once told me a fish's sense of smell was better than its vision, so eventually he'd wake up to the smell of his food. Sure, why not? Afterwards, I opened the shop and revised my manuscript next to the register like I usually did. For a while, I heard the shopkeeper's breathing as he slept. It's creepy. But once noon rolled around, I finally heard the sound of a futon being folded.
店主、おはようござ
Good
います
morning, boss!
おはよう玉森くん朝からご苦労様です
Good morning, Tamamori-kun. You're working hard this morning. It's really
I
hard.
supposed if a Roninse made scribbling noises and muttered to himself all morning, anyone would think he was studying. Honestly, if the shopkeeper figured out all my hard work was actually bullshit, I'm sure a lecture would be inevitable. I twirled my pen, feeling a little guilty.
今日も体調が良いので少し散歩してきます
I'm feeling better.
留守
Okay,
をお
you're
願い
still
しますよ
talking. I'm feeling better today, so I'm going to take a stroll. Please watch the shop while I'm gone.
いつもすみま
Sorry
せ
for
ん
everything.
Eh?
It's
客
my
入りが
fault we
悪い
don't
の
get
は
very many
Yeah, you
customers.
私の
ugly.
せいです
売り上げの心配をしているのか
Are you worried about our sales?
すみません
Sorry. I tried to act as depressed as I could. The shoji opened slightly, and out dropped a single yen.
これで美味しいものでも食べて元気出しなさい
Use this to eat some delicious food and cheer up because you're depressing the fuck out of
店
me.
主
Boss!
風邪だけはひかないようにね
Just make sure not to catch a cold.
はい
Yes, sir!
Yo-ho!
Yahoo! The shopkeeper nodded in relief. I heard the back door open and he left. It's not like I wanted money. I was just pretending to be a poor man for the sake of the shopkeeper who wanted to perform acts of kindness.
Boy, are you poor or not?
With this money saved up, entrusted to me, I could buy Callspeed, manuscript paper, ink, and even go to the bathhouse. It was a happy cycle that didn't hurt anyone.
そこで何してるの
What are you doing there?
Kawase!
川瀬
かわいい
来てたのか
You came?
驚かすな
Don't startle me!
That's a personal one?
障子に話し
You're
かけるな
talking
んて
to Shoji now.
君も
You've
とうとう
finally
末
gone
期だ
off the deep end.
店
That
主
was
だ
my boss.
店主に
I
話
was
しかけて
talking
いた
to
の
the
だ
shopkeeper.
姿を見せない不思議な店主ね本当にいるなら会わせてほしいよ
Oh, it's magic!
The mysterious shopkeeper who never shows himself, huh? If he really exists, I'd like to meet him.
ど
What's
う
that
いう
supposed
意
to
味だ
mean?
それは
That you
Seeming
have
to lose-
hallucinations.
Yeah. Seeming to lose interest, Kawase grabbed the goldfish watering can.
何こ
What's this?
れいい
Tin
年して
toys
ブ
at
リキ
your
のおも
age?
ちゃ
You found another weird hobby.
また
Got
お
you.
題
I'm
の
sorry.
代わりにもらった
It
の
was
だ。
given to me
欲しい
instead
な
of
らやる
payment.
ぞ。
If you want it, take it.
いらないよ。
I don't want it.
必要ないものはゴミと
Non-essential
同じだ
items。are the same as trash. Yeah. Honestly, even I thought it was trash.
Wow.
だがその
It
金
was
魚
for a
浄土と
book
同
that's
じくらい
equally as
不要
useless
な
as
本だ
that
った
That
のだ。
book was like from 20 years in the future.
Right.
不要な本
A useless book.
自
You
動
guys
車
have
なんだ
children's books?
ドグラマグラ、夢の
Logra
原作の
Magra,
最新刊だ。
Kiyosaku Yumeno's newest work.
うん
That's a kid with some bad
悪趣味な
tastes.
子供だね
You're a kid with some bad
Yeah.
taste.
買っていったの
No,
は
a 24 or
24の
25 year
男だ
old
っ
man
た。
bought it.
大人
An adult?
頼むから
Tamamori-kun, did he swindle
それ
you?
That's
騙
a
されちゃった
very narrow range of age for a
だ
guy
から
who
別に
just
構わ
met.
ん。ドグラマグラだって水上が勝手に置いていっ
I
た
don't
もの
really
だし。
care. Dogra Magra was just something Minakami decided to leave here.
うん
So you were just left with some trash.
じゃあゴミだけ残ったわけか
Though, when I got a better look at it, the goldfish watering can did have cute eyes. The pattern looked hand-painted, and it seems like it would have some of warmth to it, and start swimming at any moment if you were to touch it. English. Some of warmth. Okay, I was starting to feel bad about calling it trash over and over again. That guy in the eye patch had really seemed to treasure it. He had raised this little guy with all his love.
Good boy.
When I snatched it back from Kawase, I stuffed it into my pocket with the intention of warming it up.
うわ
Wow.
もう大
You
事にしてる
already treasure it.
勝手だろ。
I can do what I want.
そうだね
Indeed.
人には
Iggy.
いろんな思
You
考
should
があ
make
る
him
から
sound like Iggy.
Oh. We already have a British man. Wasn't that sentiment a little too late at this point? Without asking, he snatched the manuscript next to the register and began to slowly walk around the shop. When he finished reading a page, he discarded it like a girl playing He Loves Me Not with flower petals.
おい。
ああ失礼
Oh, sorry.
今日も
Today's
京都で
manuscript
羽の
said
ように
light as a
軽い原
feather,
稿だ
too.
原稿
Don't
を
get it
汚すな。
dirty. I was gonna
後で
have
みなかみ
Minakami
にも
read
読
it
ませるのだ
next.
ぞ。
あいつは文字が書いてあれば何でも喜ぶさ
That guy
それこそ
enjoys
結核患者の
anything
日
as
記だっ
long
て
as
喜ん
it's
で
written.
読むだろうね
He would even enjoy reading the diary of a tuberculosis patient. Damn it! Kawase discarded one page after another as I crawled after him, picking them up. When I happened to look up, he was staring down at me coldly.
これってもしかして
Don't tell me this is
Mika?
unfinished.
か
I couldn't finish
書き
writing
きれ
it
なかっ
yesterday.
たのだ。
Sorry.
また
Mika.
不完全なものを見せようとしたの
You're showing me something defective again?
勝手に見たのはお前だ
You're the
ろ
one who went
う。
and
だから
looked at it.
私は今からそれについて説明をしようと。
That's why I was going to explain it to you.
君の取り柄はバカみたいな執筆の速さだどうも信じられないな
Your most redeeming trait is how stupidly fast you can write. I just can't believe it. He let go of the last page, then went past me and headed upstairs.
おい
Hey,
待て
wait!
ってあ
I crumpled up another manuscript page under my hand. I must have looked so pitiful. I gathered up the manuscript pages, brushing the dirt and rain from them as I went, but the frogman was stepping on one of them.
You guys are angry because it's technically a good
おいどけ。
Hey, get off! The frogman was looking in shock at the staircase Kawase had vanished up. Ugh, what a stubborn and stupid hallucination. I blew a puff of air and he turned to dust and disappeared.
He didn't disappear.
おい川瀬。
Hey, Kawase! When I finally caught up with him upstairs, I was surprised to see he was standing there quietly.
Just do you have a party?
My newest manuscript, the story about the used bookstore owner and the frogman, was in his hands.
Oh, that's a pretty picture.
Amazingly, Kawase wasn't discarding it. He was speed reading it thoroughly in his usual way. The silence was so deep that it felt like I could even hear
You
his
like
eyes
that crack fic?
I guess. Every once in a while, his mouth would open in astonishment and his breathing would become shallow. Ooh. Okay. I held my own breath as I watched him.
He
No way.
would be like the one to like do that
There was
rare
no
shit.
way. Right? Crack ship in space, yo. Had I finally been able to tug at his heartstrings? My throat tightened with a slightly premature hope and sense of accomplishment. I desperately swallowed it down and waited for him to speak. Finally, he let out a sigh.
これって
Is this
俺のことか。
about me?
え？俺とあいつのことだろ。
About me and him?
え？
Kawase didn't move a muscle as his smile widened. Him. Who? Did you want to read that? You got a line, buddy. No?
You good? Did Ignis forget to teach you how to read this and guy?
This guy. Who? Well, he hadn't actually said this guy. At any rate, I couldn't figure out why he was smiling.
一体何を読んだ
What
んだ？
exactly did you read?
Your self-insert porn.
何って。
What?
ここにあった原稿だよ。
This manuscript right here. The
カエル
story
男
about
と
the
古書
frog
店
man and
店
the
主
used
の
bookstore
話。
owner?
だよ
Well,
な。
yeah. So who did he mean by me and him? I could see his dark nature through his usual smile. Suddenly, the ground shook.
Oh, the earthquakes.
It was an earthquake. Even I could tell this time. But Kawase's gaze didn't move an inch as he continued to look at me and smile.
このカエルは
Marcus, what made you yell
自
like
分が死んでいることを知らないかわいそうなカエルだ。でも無理ないよね。まさか死ぬとは思わない。
This frog is a pitiful frog that doesn't know it's dead. This is Bakugo. It doesn't know it's dead. But that's because the frog is dead. but that's reasonable. There's no way it could have imagined it had died.
橋から突き落とされたとしても
Because even if it was pushed
下
off
は
the
川
bridge,
だから。
there's a river below.
カエルは水生
Frogs
生
are
物だ。
amphibians. Of course it
元あ
would
る
have
世
died
界
if
に
it was
投げ出
flown
され
back
て
into its natural habitat.
死ぬわけない。
私は死んだ
I
と思っ
thought it
た。
died. Suddenly, my memories flew from my mouth. So weird. A long time ago in the country, I saw Kawase drop a frog from a bridge. The frog,
Serial killer!
the frog, knocked around by the harsh wind and rain, had fallen quietly, soundlessly, into the river and floated away. I thought it had died. I thought he'd killed it. Come to think of it, I had a feeling Kawase had looked at me and smiled that day too.
にゃそういえばそんなこともあった
What kind
な
of。laugh is that?
Nyeh, nyeh.
Now that you mention it, something like that did happen, didn't it?
その気持ち悪い笑い方やめろっつっただろ。
I mean, yeah, that fair. That is a creepy laugh.
にゃ
This story somehow ended with the frogman becoming the shopkeeper's assistant. Even though it was a story that overflowed with happiness, Kawase carefully and thoroughly ripped it apart and threw it away without reading to the end. I could have said, hey, or stop, or wait. There were plenty of things I could have said to stop him, but I just watched. Actually, I felt this was punishment I deserved. I felt as though it was better, that only the manuscript was bearing the brunt of his rage. Even though we were friends, even though we could joke around with each other, there were times that Kawase scared me. Yeah, because he's kind of creepy. In that moment, where I was even too afraid to breathe, I realized something.
I should
お
probably.
お前
Hey,
土足じゃない
you've got
か
your shoes on!
君こそ裸足じゃ
What
ないか。
about your bare feet?
足が
Are
汚れるよ。
they dirty?
意味がわ
Does
からん
that mean?
いいから布団
Whatever,
から
just
足
get
を
your
かけ
feet
ろ
off my futon.
はい。
Yeah. Kawase said as he sat down on the desk beside the window and looked outside. I could tell from his eyes that he was in a bad mood.
何なんだお
What's
前
with you? You're acting strange.
おかしいぞ
Normally you're more
いつもは
I'm a
もっと
dick.
blatantly snide with me, right? Kawase kept his face turned away as he continued speaking, his words limp.
そもそも
Do you know why I agreed to critique
なん
you
で
in
俺
the
が
first
君の
place?
批評を引き受けたかわかるか
Practice is answering you.
わからない。
You don't know, do you? You just
ただ君
have that side of you, so you should be
そういう
careful.
ところあるから気をつけた方がいい。
You have that side of you that just.
What does it mean? That side of me?
You have that side of you that I just want to like insult you all the damn time. It could be your front side. It could be your back side too, not just your side sides.
現実と空想がごっちゃになって
You
る。
confuse fantasy and reality.
困る人
That
もい
will
るんだ。
upset some people. Did I upset Kawase?
My brain hurts.
What he had just said was pretty serious, so I was starting to feel kind of bad.
な
Hey,
あ、すまない
sorry.
許してくれ、カオセ。
Forgive me, Kawase. Kawase's gloomy face was.
Do you have a cat?
I thought I did.
I was just saying, there's 1, 2,
Okay, I don't like that.
3, and you won't let me get a fourth.
It's the frog man. Kawase's gloomy face was reflected in the dingy window.
That's
He
creepy.
called me and pointed to something outside.
Rain.
みなかみが来たみたいだよ
Look, my twin brother.
Oh dear God. Looks like Minakami is here.
みなかみ
Minakami!
どうしたんだ血相変えて。
What's wrong? You look pale.
別に何も。
Anyway, here's the
それよりほら
continuation of that
この
manuscript
前
from
の
before.
続きの原稿だ。
おお。
Oh. Minakami's face relaxed as he immediately dove into the manuscript. At that point, Kawase came down, and Minakami gave him a troubled look.
久しぶりだな、川瀬。
It's been a while, Kawase.
いや
Hey,
久しぶり
it's been a while. Kawase wasn't giving off that mood from earlier. Somehow, even he seemed to be back to normal.
One of
However-
y'all need to talk to your mom.
Right? Their conversation, which felt like it was between two strangers rather than friends, made me uncomfortable for a different reason.
Or your dad.
3人揃うのは1ヶ月ぶりだね
Because both of y'all are twins.
It's been about a month since all three of us have been together.
川瀬も
You
忙
must
しい
be
んだな。
busy too, Kawase.
一番
You're the
忙しいのは
busiest
み
one
なか
of
みだ
us,
ろ。
Minakami.
俺
Me? No, that's not true.
いや、そんなこ
I
とは
stopped
な
by
い。
here yesterday and
昨日
today.
も今日も顔を出し
I
たし、
came here 3
週に
times
3
a
回
week.
はここに来てるんじゃないか。
私とカオセは毎日会って
Kawase
い
and
る
I
ぞ。
see each other
One
every
of
day.
these things aren't like the other.
今だ
You
な。
guys sure have a
Oh,
lot
my
of
God.
free time.
Yeehaw.
悪かったな。
Sorry. It wasn't like we planned it or anything, but if I happened to go to the cafe, Kawase would already be there. The opposite had happened before too. Although that may have meant that we accidentally did have a lot of free time.
ところで君聖望は
By the way, where's your uniform cap?
Yeehaw.
Huh?
はあ、
Oh.
Buck and Baracco took it off.
Minakami suddenly touched his head as if he had just realized something was off.
どこかに置いてきたの
I
か
guess I
な。
left it somewhere. You
また
lost
な
it
くした
again?
のか
You
という
actually
か
just
ま
haven't
だ
found
見
it
つか
yet,
ってない
have
んじゃないのか。
なくした毎日かぶる
you?
聖
You
望
lost it? The cap you have to wear
You
every
never
day?
wear it.
正直言う
Honestly,
と
I haven't
ま
found
だ
it
見つ
yet.
かってない。
I forgot it on the train.
電車の中
so
に忘
since
れて
then,
それっきりだ。
君も
you're
結構
pretty
抜けてる
careless
ね
too.
バカになる風を玉森くんから移
Did
さ
you
れたん
catch
じゃない
Tamamori-kun stupid or something?
Why do you keep eating my foot?
そうかもしれない。
Yeah, I may have.
うん
Don't
じゃ
say
ないだ
yeah.
ろ。
You
否
should
定しろ
deny
否定
it.
を。
Umbra, are you angry at me?
I've mentioned it before, but Minakami was an avid reader. He probably focused on his reading more than anything else. The most amazing thing about him was how, once something captured his attention, he became blind to everything else around him. You could grab him by the shoulders and shake him, but unless his book got closed at some point, he wouldn't stop reading. There were also times he could continue holding a conversation as he read.
And that I
この前はお相
There
手
was
と
that
真正
time he
面から
ran
ぶつ
right
かっ
into
て
the
たな。
night soil man. What does that mean?
What the fuck's a night
Hmm.
soil
あれ
man?
は本当に申し訳な
That
かっ
was
た。
real unfortunate.
What? I can't believe I'm googling this.
だ
What
から
is
そんな
a
にくたびれ
night
てるのが
soil
君の
man?
制服
Night soil men played a important role for more than 60 years in New Zealand cities. People put their excrement out in buckets, and under cover of dark, the night men would collect it and dump it at manure deposits in the city outskirts.
Okay then, cool. I see. So that's why your uniform's so beat up. Compared to Kawase's, Minakami's uniform was slightly faded. There was a difference between high-grade nori and the cheap yellow-tinted nori, but, well, in the end, they tasted the same. Kawase put on his cap and nori-like mantle.
さて
Now that I've torn up
玉森くんのくだらない小説も破り捨てたし
That.
俺はコーヒーでも飲みに行こうかな
Now that I've torn up Tamamori's ridiculous story, I guess I'll go have some coffee.
一
Don't
仕事
say
終
it
えた
like you
みたいに
finished
言
your
うな。
work for the day or something.
コーヒーって例の
Coffee?
神田
At
橋にあ
that
るカフ
cafe
ェ
near
か。
Conda Bridge?
そう
That's right.
俺も玉森くんも
Tamamori
ず
Kun
っ
and
と
I
あ
are...
そこのコーヒーにハマってて
Fine,
ね
stop talking.
ついでに玉森くんの猫舌
He's
を
not.
直す練習をしてるんだ
That's right. Tamamori Kun and I are addicted to the coffee there. Plus, I've been training Tamamori Kun's sensitive tongue.
また意地悪な
That
こ
could
と
have
を。
You're
some.
picking on him again.
それじゃあね
Sorry,
みなかみにとことん甘やかされるといいよ
We'll see you. You should let Minakami totally spoil you. Kawase opened his umbrella and left in a hurry. Why had he even come? Just to rip up my manuscript?
I like this.
川瀬の批評はどうなったんだ？
How was Kawase's critique?
別に
It's
何も
nothing.
なんてこと
No
は
big
ない
deal. はい、何？
そうか。ひどく言われたんだな。
He skeets. I see. So he said something mean then. Minakami seemed to have figured it out. He'd probably guessed it earlier. I glanced at him hopefully, but he didn't seem to be looking over my manuscript.
なあ玉森、
Hey,
やっぱり
Tamamori,
この原
could I
稿
take this
持
with
ち帰っ
me?
てもいいか？
No.
No.
えお
Yeah, I don't
構わ
mind.
ないか
講義の合間に出てきたんだ。すぐに戻らないと。
I'll finish it between classes. I need to head back soon. Can you
夜の
go
活
to
動
the
には
movie
行ける
tonight?
のか
Do you want to go on a date?
Of course.
ならいいの
Then
だ
it's fine.
それまで俺の代わりになりそうなものを持ってきたん
Feels
だ。
like I'm taking something as collateral. He handed me 5 reference books.
どうい
Hey,
そう不機嫌な顔をするな。これは英文小説だから意味がわかれば楽しめると思うぞ。
don't make such a sour face. These books are in English, but I think you'll enjoy them if you can understand them. What?
Or just disabled file.
Okay.
そうでもなさそうだな。
Maybe not.
うるさい
Shut up.
急いでるならさっさと行け
If you're in such a hurry, then hurry up and leave.
ごめん、そうするよ。
Sorry, I will. Minakami smiled again and left. He was normally calm and easygoing, but today he seemed pretty busy. Of course, that was dangerous since he was prone to ignoring his surroundings. Come to think of it, something like that had happened a long time ago. Backstory. He had been walking aimlessly on his way back home from school while reading one of my manuscripts, so I was escorting him. Kawase had looked at us coldly and asked, "What are you guys doing?" But if I hadn't been there, Minakami would have been attacked by a wild boar or fallen into a rice paddy. Could have been. Anyway, whenever Minakami was focused on something with all his heart, bad things happened. I immediately went after him.
Oh my goodness.
みなかみ
Minakami!
But what about the shop?
どうした？
What's wrong? Minakami raised his voice a little, even though he was worried about people staring.
停滞に戻るんだろ
You're going back to the Imperial University, right?
あ
Yeah.
あ、
水道橋ま
I'll
で
go
送
with
る
you up to Sweeto Bridge.
いいよ。店を開けっぱなしで出たらさすがに怒られるぞ。
I'm fine. You'll get in trouble if you leave while the shop is open.
店主は出かけているどうせ客も来ない
The shopkeeper's out right now, and anyway, no customers are gonna come.
でも万が
But
一。
just in case. I closed the shop doors. Minakami turned towards me, amazed. Then he slowly approached me.
客が来ないなら来ないなりに勉強でも。
If customers don't come, use that time to study or...
新しい物語の構想が昨日浮かんだのだ
I came up with a new idea for a story yesterday. Eh?
It's got a frog.
There was a long silence.
And a
I knew the words
Bookkeeper.
Minakami was weak to. La, la.
Yes, make him smell even worse.
I ended up accompanying Minakami and walking down Kakusan Street. No, no,
で
no.
そのカエル男は言うのだ恨み晴らさでおくべきか
So then the frogman says, Have I rid myself of my grudge? I can't do it anymore. Have I rid myself of my grudge?
I'm sorry.
自我を取り戻すのだな。
He regains himself then.
そう
That's
カエル
right, the
男は
frogman
人間であった
remembers
こ
he
とを
was
思い
human,
出し
and then he gets
自
his
分を
revenge
殺した
on the
男
man
に
who
復
killed
讐
him.
するのだそしてその後カエル男は天使の助手となり
Afterwards, the frogman becomes the shopkeeper's assistant.
それで
And then
この物語は終わる。
the story ends.
そうか。なかなか怪奇な話だった。砕けた金平糖で口を切り、甘みの中にじわりと鉄の苦さを感じるような。
I see. What a bizarre story. It's like cutting your mouth on a broken piece of completo. Oh, I hate this. There's a metallic bitter taste mixed with sweetness. Completo. Oh,
Completo.
great.
うむ。
I won't know how to pronounce any of these Japanese words, but
It was an everyday thing, but I could never really understand Minakami's critiques. Perhaps because he was the son of a brewer. He had a sensitive tongue, and he often compared my stories to flavors in cooking.
he's Iggy.
Yes. They were always impressions I didn't quite understand, but I could at least tell that he liked me.
We're gonna come up with new recipes.
You just keep...
お前は黙って聞いてくれるのだな。
Is
You
there a
just-
way, just out of curiosity, sorry, is there a way to like turn off them speaking so we don't have to wait for them?
お前
Does that just play?
お前は黙って聞いてくれるのだな。
Oh, there. Or you can at least turn them down. Oh, mute characters. There we go. That was an ominous noise.
Now we don't get to listen to their wonderful dulcet tones anymore. Just mine.
I'm sorry in
Okay.
advance. But go quicker now.
Oh, okay. You just keep quiet and listen, don't you?
黙って聞かずにはいられないよ。お前の話はいつも面白い。
That didn't work.
It's off. Mute characters on. But wasn't it on?
What does that mean?
I don't know.
I'm so
Have we met? Oh, we haven't met Hanzawa.
We have not met Hanazawa
I think that's
or
the
the man in the no mask.
We've seen him, but I don't think we've met him.
I could just turn the voice volume on.
Up to you. If you guys really, really want to hear the characters, we could always turn it back on.
I have to keep quiet and listen. Your stories are always interesting. Oh, hey. But Kawase ripped up that manuscript and threw it away. Eh?
Nane?
Minakami turned around when I stopped. We had reached Suido
didn't
Bridge before I knew
Call
it.
you with that?
No
but
way!
alright.
How could he? It's fine. Not even a cat would eat it.
I mean, I don't think you've met this cat.
Don't you mean not even a dog would eat it? Either way, an omnivore is an omnivore. I guess that's true, but if even the lowliest creatures wouldn't like it, what does that say about me?
You guys are not talking.
That you're a total weirdo. Haha. Minakami was a nice guy. I always thought Kawase and I were total opposites, but even Minakami and I were completely different people.
What?
If Kawase and I were duking it out on the Asura domain, then Minakami was looking down on us from the Deva domain.
Do you even know what that means?
Nope. Minakami laughed as he left. With no intention of saying anything else, I also turned around.
Heartbeat.
But why?
I suddenly had a massive heart attack.
Why did my heart race with every step I took away from him? I have feelings for all of them.
I'm gay.
I immediately turned back around. Suido Bridge was there, as usual. But Minakami had already disappeared into the crowd.
I don't like this. Why are we on a train?
From there, I rode
Oh.
the streetcar. Even if I went back to the shop, the only customer would be that guy with the eye patch. I didn't even notice the rain. I figured that lie wouldn't work, but there were plenty of excuses I could make so the shopkeeper would forgive me. I went past Jinbocho and Umebachido and got off at Konda Bridge. I saw Kawase's head through the window. You really want to go see that dick again? I came in and sat across from him without waiting for his server. Yeah. Kawase's face twitched as he closed his book. What are you doing here? What about the shop? This is my lunch break. Anyway, what are you reading? A novel I borrowed from an acquaintance of an acquaintance. Kawase tossed it at me, annoyed. He wasn't treating it like something he borrowed. A woman in... a woman in gray. It's Yureto. It's in its original language. Even you should know what I'm talking about if I put it that way, right? In that case, I read it too. I looked through it again, but I couldn't understand the English writing at all. You really are an idiot. You're reading in the wrong direction. Eh? Oh, I knew that. I was just zoning out. Teaching you anything is like pouring water into a shallow dish. I don't know what that means.
Same.
And the water keeps overflowing. I don't get it. Besides, I didn't come here to discuss something so stupid. I put the book on the tabletop and pushed it toward Kawase. It's about Minakami. Don't you think he's been acting strange lately? Strange, huh? Today, too. He just came and left. He has a lot of classes. Don't pout just because he didn't pay enough attention to you. I'm not pouting! He did say he had classes, but normally he ditches them to read my manuscripts.
Oh my god.
What is he thinking? That's why something feels so off. Don't you think you might be the one who's acting strange? What was that? I was just teasing you, but he's always been strange. That whole "it's been a while" thing was a lie. I've seen Minakami around the university several times. He must have seen me too. And he still said that it had been a while?
Well, just because you see someone doesn't mean you interact with them.
That's fair. He's been avoiding me. Kawase lit a fresh match.
I mean, you're a dick. So.
Cigarette smoke gently drifted about. I brushed it away with my hand as I questioned Kawase. Avoiding? You? Right before this, I saw him in the reading room, but when I came back from picking out a book, he was gone. What do you mean?
He left the room.
He thought I would come talk to him and ran away. The more I heard, the less I understood. It wasn't in Minakami's personality to dislike anyone. No matter how much of a brute Kawase was, I didn't think Minakami would do something
You could
so
just say he's a dick.
You should have asked him about it earlier. There's
that,
no way
that
I would
camera's
do
not
something so crude. That's why I left and came all the way here. Kawase let out a smoke-filled sigh. I couldn't believe he'd actually had a conversation with Minakami with that on his mind.
You stop.
But, how long have you felt this way?
Since
Ever
I realized
since
I loved you.
Ever since we got into the Imperial University.
Or
I guess.
that.
For over a year? He was a familiar face from the same village. They had even spent time together naked, and he still avoided Kawase? Getting it. I pulled the ticket out from my pocket and scooted it toward Kawase. Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, they're running it again? Good for you. I'm meeting Minakami tonight at Toyo Cinema. You come too. I'll pass. I have no interest in horror films. What are you talking about? You're reading Yureto. I told you. Blah, 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 different voice. I told you. An acquaintance of an acquaintance just pushed it on me. I just finished reading it now. It wasn't my cup of tea. You bastard! Don't you understand Ruiko's greatness?
No.
The one I'm reading is the original by Alice Muriel Williamson. I don't plan on reading Ruiko's. Wait a second. The original version of Yureto is called The Phantom Tower by Bendison. Ruiko probably lied. Lied? Yureto was a serialized story, so that was most likely his way of making sure people weren't spoiled by the original version, which had already been completed. That could be, but if it's completed now, why wouldn't he publicize who the original author is? Who knows? Maybe he just wanted the credit for it. What a crass theory. I think he would do the same if it were you. Rude.
But true.
Rude.
Rude.
Anyway, the acquaintance of your acquaintance must be a pretty smart guy. He heard the original version of Yureto was out there somewhere and was so determined he found out the truth. I don't know how true it is though. I've never read Ruiko's, so I can't compare them. Then you should compare it with me. Alright, where should we begin our comparison? It's set in England. England. The protagonist is Dokuro Marube. The protagonist is Dokuro Marube. Terrence Darkmore. That's not the same.
No.
Damn, it's already different.
What? They chose a Japanese name for the Japanese
What?
novel?
It's common to change the main characters' names to appeal to Japanese readers, isn't it? Oh, right. Then what's the name of the beautiful, mysterious woman who appears? It's Hope. I just said it's pointless to compare names. And the suspicious doctor? Paul Lapel. Come on. Oh, that's the same. Forget about that. It'd be faster to compare the details. Yeah, the mystery woman's true identity isn't Edoko Matsuda or Anatsu Wada, but Haruko Marube, Darkmoor's cousin. The beautiful, mysterious woman's true identity, which was always in question, seemed to be the same. Definitely. But most importantly, there were the main characters Darkmoor and Dokuro. Even the pronunciation was similar.
I can see how.
See it.
Yeah. Like, it's a Japanese, like,
Yeah.
version of it.
Oh, I see.
I have a scratch over my tattoo. Thanks, guys.
The reason Ruriko didn't make it public had nothing to do with the rights to it or taking credit. He probably just wanted to make the story his own. If I could get away with the same thing because it was a translation, I would definitely do it too. If I had been the first person to read A Woman in Grey, I would have made sure no one ever found out about the original story. If they were concerned about the rights or credit, they wouldn't attach the name of the original author in the first place, even if it was fake. The truly stingy, worst kind of writers were those who plagiarized and never mentioned the original author's names at all. That just makes me love Ruriko's honesty and purity even more. How is he honest or pure? Besides, it already wasn't his the moment he published it. Kawase took a long drag off his cigarette. Once it had burned all the way to his mouth, he puffed out a huge gust of smoke, and that is a waste. Anyway, Ruriko or whatever isn't important right now. The three of us should go to the movies tonight. When we do, we can ask Minakami about it.
We have a big group date.
What are you laughing about? It was an awfully chilling smile. At any rate, I could tell he wasn't interested.
Are these like two boys trying to fight for
I don't.
Harry Potter wannabe?
I put the ticket. What do you need? What do you need?
It is 50 minutes past their dinner time.
Oh, okay. I put the ticket away, but he smiled even wider. What is it? Minakami likes you. Huh?
He's the moon going, hey, you two should kiss.
I'm guessing that's why he's gets it. I'm guessing that's why he gets annoyed whenever you and I are together. I don't understand.
He
something
wants
to say.
you and him to go kissy kissy.
Noctis is like, I didn't come here for this shit. Kawase was giving me the creeps. Think hard about why he would be avoiding you, Kawase.
Because he's jealous.
I did-
Because I get to hang out with you.
I did think hard about it, and that was the answer I came up with. Minakami is jealous of me, the poor sap. That's not an answer. That's bad-mouthing. But it would be funny if I turned the joke around.
Harry Potter wannabe's a dumbass.
Are you one to talk? I said, motioning past Kawase with my chin. In front of the counter, there were three waitresses huddled together and squealing. Of course, that waitress with the handkerchief was in the middle. To be honest, they were all cute. Adorable, even.
Adorable.
Excuse me. Anyone would be crazy to be adored by those young ladies and not make a move on them. Unless you're gay. Ooh, 'cause he gay.
Because he wants your glasses ass. Said it that way just for it to rhyme.
Okay. I have no interest in someone like her.
She has too much boobs.
What about
and not
deep
enough
down
dick.
inside? Not even a little? The things I get to say, ladies and gentlemen. Kill me. I hate the smell of piss on her hands. I also hate the smell of piss on Noctis's face. How can I put it? Kawase was over the top. The remarks he spat out were always sarcastic. I wasn't the only one who felt that way either. At the care, he would wipe his spoon with a napkin. Oh, I'm assuming cafe. At the cafe, he would wipe his spoon with a napkin.
Did no one
over and
beta
over
read
again.
this?
My God. But the worst was when he'd ask who had prepared his food. Honestly, it made me want to scare the hell out of Kawase at least once. I don't want. I don't wash my hands after I use the restroom. I pick my nose and scratch my head with my bare hands, and you've touched my manuscripts. I eagerly went to touch Kawase's hand. When I did, he suddenly grabbed me and brought his lips close to the back of my hand.
Oh, we're getting somewhere.
You're special. Or so you thought I would say. Right when I thought he was going to touch his lips to my hand, he made a sound in his throat and spat on it. You bastard! That was very shrill. I make sure to wash my hands after I read your manuscripts, until they're raw.
No, you don't. You probably. I'm not even gonna say that.
When your germophobia is that bad, it's just misanthropy. Is that how you pronounce that?
Sure.
Okay.
You're asking the chick with the speech impediment, dude.
It's become this bad because there are people as filthy as you. So the only person you can trust is yourself, huh? That's the wrong expression. It's the wrong expression. But it's true. Isn't Hanazawa the only one you can touch? Ooh, the random guy we haven't met yet. Hanazawa.
But he just touched you!
Ah. What was that for? You just made a really stupid noise. Something had suddenly occurred to me. Hanazawa's story.
We're gonna get a
But
story.
before I get to that, I think I'll introduce you to him. There was one more friend we all had in common, Hanazawa. He was 3 years older than us, so he would silently guide our unruly and rambunctious group.
Let's just finish this game right now.
If
All four of them are gonna fuck each other, and that's it. Here we go. OT4.
Oh my god. If Hanazawa said something, even that animal Kawase would immediately listen. Even now, Kawase would lower his eyes if he heard Hanazawa's name. Hanazawa, who was the first of us to graduate from middle school,
That would make
left
sense as he's 3 years older than you.
Yes, left Aizu as a boy to enroll in military academy. We hadn't seen or heard from him in 8 years. Oof. Is he still alive?
He did.
Maybe Minakami met up with Hanazawa yesterday. Huh? He said he was going to meet an old friend. No, that can't be it. It has to be. Hanazawa's the only old friend he has other than us. He could have been lying.
Could have been meeting a girl.
For some reason, Kawase's smile suddenly widened. Maybe he met up with a woman. He probably didn't want you to be jealous of her, since she really is just an acquaintance.
I don't lend the shit friends at me.
Why are you going on about jealousy in women? I don't think Minakami likes me that much.
Yes.
And I also didn't think Minakami had met some woman. Kawase's smile got even wider. Just how dim are you? Or do you just not want to admit it? Is that it? What?
We all gay for you.
Think about it. No matter how crazy someone is about books, there's no way they could actually enjoy a story if it's boring. A gourmet will only eat gourmet food, right? Just what are you trying to say? I must be an idiot because I'm not getting it. I already said it earlier. Minakami likes you. He probably thinks he can make you happy by going along with it and enjoying your shit stories. I don't know what you mean. Oh my god, this guy's dense.
He is totally the bottom. He just gives off that bottom vibe.
You're such a moron. I'm saying that his praise is just flattery. Flattery? In other words, Minakami is pretending to enjoy your manuscripts to make you happy.
So he can bone you.
But wait, if that's the case, are you saying there's something about me that Minakami finds attractive? Huh? I believe my charm lies in my ability to come up with over-the-top fantasies, but you're saying that I don't have that charm. Then what exactly are you saying Minakami finds so attractive about me?
There's not enough alcohol in this world to get through this game.
Point taken. There's not a single good thing about you. Ouch. Kawase's serious face looked unusually perplexed. Ooh, gay panic! When I realized he was making that expression because he was trying so hard to figure out what Minakami found so great about me, I felt like Kawase was looking at the face of a worthless idiot. Still, I never thought the first argument I'd ever win against Kawase would be over something like this. No matter how long I waited for his comeback, it didn't seem to be on its way. I honestly wished he would object, but I wouldn't have been able to stand that either. Anyway, enough of that, Kawase. You just don't want to admit it. Shut up for a second. I'm desperately searching for something right now. Something good about you. You're bringing up something totally groundless just because you're jealous that Minakami secretly went to see Hanazawa.
It's his dick.
What was that?
It's his
You're
dick.
jealous of Minakami. You're wrong. Take that back. Oh, the lady doth protest too much. You can be petty too, huh? Just shut up already. Boy, did we both have mud on our faces. Mud on your face. Big disgrace. Waving your banner all over the place. Yeah, okay. When we realized neither of us had a leg left to stand on, we both fell silent.
This game hurts my
This
brain.
game is gay. Then we looked up out the window inside. We must really be bored. Yeah. Our bad moods must be from this crappy weather. I wonder how long this rain will last. Forever and ever. Afterwards, Kawase left the cafe. Okay.
He went to Florida.
Afterwards, Kawase left the cafe to go to his lectures at the Imperial University, and I was left to pass the time on my own. Go back
Maybe you
to
should
your
go back to
shop.
your job.
Whenever I was left alone with this, I would usually recall Kawase's annoying face and brood. But for once, the one on my mind was Minakami. Just who was the old friend he met up with yesterday? This was Minakami, so I didn't think he would have plans to see a woman. He couldn't even look Madame Oizumi directly in the eye. There was just no way. Therefore, the most probable person was Hanazawa. It could only be him.
No, he died in the military.
But if Minakami really had been going to meet up with him, why hadn't he told me anything about it? How cold. It made me sort of uncomfortable. The waitress suddenly brought out my omelet rice. That took a while. Sorry, I forgot. Compared to how she was with Kawase, her attitude toward me was totally different. I forgot about you, customer. My bad. I stuffed my mouth with omelet rice as I stared out the window. What, you're still here? What kind of relationship do you and that Teiraise-san have?
What is that?
I don't know. I immediately knew what her intentions were. We're friends. Then, do you know where he lives? What if I do? I'll throw in a call fee.
Everyone just wants those milky.
She set the
drinks.
call fee in her hand down with a clunk. There's a huge Western-style house in Hongo's 3rd district. If you don't know it, ask around the neighborhood about where Ikeda Manor is, and someone will be able to tell you right away. He lives there? It's a nobleman's... No, wow, why can't I say nobleman's? It's a nobleman's mansion. Everyone around here knows about it. Is that so? A nobleman's mansion. I'm jealous. There must be plenty of maids and butlers working there. No, he's alone. All alone? In a nobleman's giant mansion? Yeah, for some reason, he's alone right now. Wait, what was I going on about? I emptied my glass in one gulp and gave it back to the waitress, then shooed her away with the back of my hand.
Rude.
Hey, you're not being fair! Tell me more!
Why did that hay have a tilde?
I don't know, probably because it was like, hey! Whatever. If you must go, make sure he doesn't see you. That's all I can say. Got it. Thank you. Yahoo! The waitress said, leaving in a huff. Oh, I miss Oikawa. I need to rewatch Haikyuu. She was definitely going to go to Kawase's house. I didn't know what she would do when she got there, but it would be pretty funny if she ended up bothering him somehow. Still, what exactly did that waitress see in Kawase? There was what happened yesterday, and now she wanted to get even closer to him. What a freak. Haruhiko-san and the frogman suddenly appeared in front of me. What a frickin'
You're taking an awfully long lunch break.
Haruhiko-san and Frogman.
You seem to be curious about that waitress.
I don't feel one way or another about her. I definitely think she's cute, but I feel like there's something a little off about her.
Off?
I looked at the waitress's back. That's a wig, isn't it?
Oh my god, is it a dude? Frogman, go take a look.
You want to get that far away from me. Yes, sir!
Yes, we use an old webcam for a mic. Don't judge us.
The frogman waddled closer to the waitress, and when he was right behind her, his eyes got even wider.
One day we'll get a Blue Yeti.
Haruhiko-san and I both lowered our glasses, looked through the lenses, and confirmed what the frogman saw. I thought there was something strange when I saw Kawase grab it yesterday.
Her hair definitely seems to have two textures. She must have her reasons.
She has alopecia.
The frogman returned at that moment, and Haruhiko-san and I both fixed our glasses. Oh.
Mysterious!
They say a woman's hair is her life. Even pretending to maintain beautiful locks must be a lot of work.
So it's because of him. Love came from a woman's gallant efforts. Does it? Kawase telling her to cut it was just sad. The waitress suddenly turned around. I thought long hair was cuter than short. When I confirmed that with my stare, the waitress frowned and went back to the kitchen. As soon as I was done with my omelet rice, I wouldn't have any more business here.
You seem happy, Tamamori-san!
Yeah, it was worth the 3-hour wait.
What?
That is a really long wait for some omelet rice.
You really are something else.
For some omelet rice.
Yes, please don't.
Okay, now to put this back on the salt shaker.
Yeah.
Yes, I put this on the salt shaker. Leave me alone. If anybody could see our setup, it is so janky.
Okay. It was raining and the streetcar was packed. That was probably because it would have been a huge pain to walk around in this humidity. For me, using the streetcar to go 2.5 miles had nothing to do with whether it was raining or cloudy. When I happened to look outside, I saw 3 umbrellas spinning as they ran by. I recognized those guys.
Are they the 3 guys from the...
You saw them at the bathhouse!
The moment I prayed they wouldn't get on, they
God, our
noisily
neighbors are
jumped onto
probably
the
so
streetcar.
confused.
What?
Our neighbors are probably so
Yeah,
confused.
probably. I figured I'd move to the back to make room for the brats, but...
How are we gonna see them?
Oh, if it isn't the Roninse from yesterday.
Hew, hew.
I don't know, that was just a sound. What kind of taunt is that? I don't get it. Move back more. We can't get on. Yeah, yeah. That's what I was trying to do. Hey, you brats, you're in public. Look around. Don't you notice all the cold stares?
I see the shadows.
I said that, but when I glanced around, everyone was looking out the window and pretending not to notice us. They weren't completely indifferent, though. In the glass of the window, my eyes met those of an unfamiliar man. If you feel the same, say something. Fine, just be quiet. I stepped farther back, and was instantly jostled around by the crowd and dropped my umbrella. I tried to pick it up, but I was so squished I couldn't move. That's when a pale hand picked it up. Here you go. Thanks. Hey, why did you pick it up? I just... Sorry. You really are too nice. I felt kind of bad for him.
Yams. Suki.
There's no reason to feel bad. He's a shady guy who talks to young, innocent men out of the blue. What? That was how they saw me? That's right. I told you yesterday too, but don't forget that this guy is
Keith.
also a surveillance target. But what if the reason he talked to us yesterday was because he wanted to join the Irregulars Regiment? Shh! Yeah, prom, stop ruining it. I don't know. Naming a simple group of delinquents Irregulars Regiment was pretty over the top. I was an adult. I had no intention of hanging out with those who were less mature. Only able to move one hand, I pat the somewhat well-behaved one's head, then hid myself farther in the crowd.
He's closer.
I was unbelievably thankful the next stop was Jibocho. Excuse me. I didn't want to be in that, excuse me again, cramped car any longer than necessary. As the streetcar passed me by, the twerps pressed against the window and made weird faces, but I no longer paid them any mind. Yeah, children are stupid. As long as I didn't ride the streetcar around this time of day, I wouldn't run into them. As long as I didn't go to the bathhouse around the same time as before, I'd be able to avoid them. Yes, because everyone does things at the exact same time every day.
Yes.
But why were they making fun of me? The waitress at the cafe seemed to be too. My nose is getting itchy. I don't like this. In the beginning, she'd been even more condescending. There were times when she wouldn't bring me a spoon no matter how many times I asked. That wasn't the only time I had been viewed as an idiot.
Can I help you, good son?
Do you really want to go that low continually?
No. I'll never forget it. I'll never forget it. 2 years ago, we met an elderly man on the train heading to the capital. He had been somewhere between 75 and 80. He was the master of Ikeda Manor, and he would eventually take in Kawase as an adopted son. Ikeda...
Are you all orphans?
Kind of, yeah. That mysterious old man, who didn't know how much longer he had left, had grown quite fond of us young men making our way to the capital to become the future of the nation.
No.
They really did not pick
the best background.
No. And told us we could rent a room in his mansion. Thank you for your kind offer, but we're already being taken care of by a person named Oizumi. Don't bore him with all... Don't bore him with all that, Minakami. Yeah, he's offering to do us a favor. We might as well not waste it. Can I help you, good sir? Back off. Minakami had Minakami had sighed and said, "Please take care of these two," as he bowed his head. I click. Oh, Jesus Christ. Okay, yes, you can come sit. It's fine. When he told us he wanted to, when he told us he wanted to adopt us, the conversation gradually snowballed. At his sudden proposal, the grandparents I left behind in the country crossed my mind, so of course I hesitated. But Kawase had immediately accepted.
Because he's alone.
Right? He had no one who came to mind back in the country. Right when this joke we shared as we traveled started to have a tinge of truth to it, something happened that destroyed all my hopes. Someone had stolen my luggage. A young man with his hat worn low had run off with my bag, which I'd left in the aisle. With monkey-like reflexes, or maybe he really was a monkey, the thief had escaped my grasp. Hey, you! Before he could even reach the second car, he was jostled around by the crowd and started to slow down. I figured that now I'd be able to catch him. But he passed it along to the next thief. Honestly, I was also slowing down from exhaustion. Even when I yelled out, "Thief!" it was drowned out by the sounds of the crowd of the train as I was pushed farther back.
I see you thinking. You're not allowed to think. You're a cat.
When he tried to disappear into the third rail car, Minakami shouted as loud as he could, "You're free, you're free."
No, you're not. Okay, maybe you are.
A bag with 300 yen and it was stolen. Whoever gets it back will get half. What a huge lie! Well, look. Just like Minakami said, the look in everyone's eyes had changed. With the power of maturity. Okay. My bag was instantly taken back from the thief and was suddenly being passed above the heads of the crowd. The moment it was finally back in my hands, the buckle on my bag snapped. What fluttered down inside the train car were my manuscripts. Manuscripts, and more manuscripts. Some greedy miser must have tried to wrench my bag open by force. One page was swept away by the wind, and one fell into some far-sighted old lady's hand. Some landed on the heads of innocent bystanders, and one fell by my feet. Actually, it fell by Kawase's and Ikeda-san's feet as they came up to me and Minakami. We haven't met him yet. He has a voice. What voice does he have?
Do you want me to just do him?
No. Tamamori-kun, what is meaning of this? Why not?
You want to do a Russian accent right now?
Well, I only have so many things in my repertoire, okay? Weren't you going to the capital to study to be a doctor?
Maybe not
Of course. What? Who? Okay, like...
Australian.
No, I'm not making him Australian. I'm gonna make somebody else Australian. They say you know what goes on in a person's head by the contents of their bag. But what's all this?
Oh, got that stupid laugh.
You should learn from Kawasaki. I don't really want to remember what happened after that. I'd gotten drunk and ended up between two of the rail cars, sobbing on and on. Thought I was going to say between something else, but...
I was like, oh god, this took a turn.
Ninakami was the only one who had me go back to my seat with a worried look on his face. Anyway, I'd fooled Ikeda-san at first, and even the shopkeeper at Umebachiro. I mean, even if I had used some underhanded techniques, why were children the only ones who didn't fall for it? That was probably why I would never like children for as long as I lived. That's a really long-winded story, and I kind of forgot what it's about. I'm not gonna lie.
Same.
When the sun had completely set and I got back to Umebachiro, a man was there twirling his umbrella. He seemed bored. A lot of people are bored. He stopped startled when he saw... Stopped startled. No, that makes sense. When he saw me making my way back. Oh, he's British, right?
Yes.
Good evening. Good evening. Is the shop closed today? I'm opening it now, because I've been gone all day. I said as I put my hands on the doors. Huh? It wasn't locked. What about it? Nothing. Nothing at all.
You're just stupid.
He was kind of a gloomy guy. I told him to come in, but he just fidgeted, showing no signs of entering. I didn't, come to buy books today.
I came to buy you.
If you want me to return your goldfish watering can, I'll give it back. No! It must have been something that was pretty important to him. It's not like I wouldn't return it if you told me to. But he waved his hands and shook his head as if to... Oh, I couldn't read while I did that. As if to tell me not to worry about it. Please keep it. It was something like a gift for you. Huh? What was your name? My name is Hikawa. Sorry, this may be rude, but have we met before?
You look a lot like the other two men I know.
Unfortunately, if something doesn't interest me, I tend to forget it immediately.
Oh, God!
No, I met you for the first time a month ago. That was when I began working at Umebachiro, so of course the name Hikawa wouldn't sound familiar to me. I knew it. He was the weird one. I was looking for a certain book, and heard a rumor that I would be able to find any book here at Umebachiro if I just knew the title. That's when I started coming. That sounds like it's going to be long. Or this sounds like it's going to be long. Sorry. This just sounds so weird because I just hear Hermione.
Make it deeper.
He eventually closed his umbrella and came inside. Actually, yesterday wasn't the first time I've read your manuscripts. That's better. I like that better. Even the first time I came to this shop, you were lying on the floor writing a manuscript and I ended up reading it. There was a story about a pigeon man and a beggar. Okay, pigeon man. A story about a piece of caramel and a triangle ruler wrestling. They were
Wait, are you gonna make
interesting.
the military dude Australian?
Sure, why not?
I was like, who else would it be?
It didn't feel so bad to hear all that. I grinned as I took a step closer to him. I asked your name earlier, but what was it again? I have short-term memory loss.
He literally just said, it's Dante. What's your name again?
What's your name? What's your name? I've forgotten already. I'm sorry. I'm just gonna call you this because I can't remember. My name is Kijiro Hikawa. Please call me Professor. Professor?
Oh, you Professor X?
I wasn't even going to ask what his field of study was. Maybe a professor was something like a nickname. If it was a nickname, I had one too. I'm Tamamori-kun, right? Eh? It was written on your manuscripts. I'm I'm so happy being able to say your name like this. Formerly a weirdo, currently a nutcase.
Like you have any room to talk, Mr. Frogman!
So, did you find the book you were looking for? No, but that's alright. Right now I'm obsessed.
I'm obsessed with blah 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 blah.
Right now I'm obsessed with your manuscripts. With my manuscripts. The man, or rather professor, was slowly coming closer. When you're done watching the store for the day, why don't you come over to my house? That's sketchy.
Professor moves
I'd
fat.
like to have a nice long chat with you, so I came to invite you over. I'm so sorry, but I'm a romancer. I don't have time for such frivolities.
What the fuck is a romancer?
I don't know, look it up. Eh? I don't know how to do that in British. That's just how it is. When will you be free then? Probably in about a year. That's unfortunate. Actually, I had already arranged for tea snacks and a meal to welcome you.
Apparently, it's a term used to call a person who has failed to pass their first try at a university exam.
Oh, okay.
I don't know what that means, as he can't hang out with this
I
guy.
don't know. Maybe it means he's supposed to be studying to get back into university, so he doesn't have any time?
Maybe?
I don't know. Tea snacks and a meal? Yes. I said a year, but I happen to be free tomorrow night. I am a slut for food.
Can we get that on a shirt? I am a slut for food.
I'm sure it's already on a shirt. Really? Yes. Tonight would have been fine too, but I have some minor business to attend to at Toyo Cinema.
We're going on a
The
date.
movies. So you weren't actually busy. Movies are a way to research society. Do you think that's a waste of time? Sorry. Please don't hate me.
I'm too gay for you.
As his face turned red, Professor withdrew like a turtle hiding from embarrassment. Well, I'll come pick you up tomorrow night. Goodbye! Did Dana leave?
Mm-hmm.
Dana, no!
You're gonna be mean and Buster.
Yeah, do it. Who's even here? Is it literally just you? and
No,
a
it's
bot?
not. No,
Oh, okay. And with a somewhat nervous look on his face, he skipped away. Even though I'd been lured by tea snacks into accepting, the day itself was guaranteed to be a pain. It depended on how I happened to be feeling when the time came.
What are you doing?
I honestly
Noctis?
couldn't have cared less whether he liked me or not. It was... Do I want to know? Oh, jeez. It was 5 o'clock in the evening. I still had time before the movie.
Oh, I should
Who
probably
is talking? I would have liked an airplane, though, I muttered by the register as I rocked the goldfish watering can Professor had given me. Okay.
What are you doing underneath my blanket?
Alright, this is probably going to be the last section.
Okay.
I'd had a feeling, but no customers
I didn't
came
want to
after
blow
that.
her a kiss. I wanted to cry.
The shopkeeper hadn't returned either. It was time to close up shop, so I shut the doors and started walking toward Toyo Cinema. Oh, damn. When I began to stroll down Hakusan Street, I heard angry shouting coming from somewhere.
Say that one more time. You didn't hear me? You're a... You're a sexy.
Okay.
He's drunk.
I looked across the street and saw a soldier and a drunk arguing. After the Navy had been reduced and disarmament enforced, the harsh criticism soldiers received had gotten worse, despite their pampered status not so long ago. The military was getting hit hard. Now, the world was a rough place for soldiers. Maybe someone like me, who was hooked on tea and sweets, had it
Fuck that
good.
phonics.
There was a crowd forming outside of Toyo Cinema, so the show must have been starting soon. Toyo Cinema was a movie theater that had just opened a year ago. And if that wasn't awesome enough, in order to attract customers, it would borrow films like today's movie from Nikatsu and rerun them. It felt kind of strange when I thought about how all the people here liked horror films. It wasn't as crowded as Asakusa Roku, but I liked it here more, with its gloomy atmosphere. Alles gut?
We're dropping frames a little bit, but
Oh, no. Ow. Oh, no.
and Kelly has a heart attack on stream.
It's fine. I just did like the breathing thing and you got the sharp pain. Okay. When the doors opened, the crowd began to move. I figured if I stood there, Minakami would show up eventually. I strained my eyes, but I couldn't
Hold
find
on.
the copperhead of his at all. Good.
We're dropping frames for some reason. Though I like how it still says we have excellent connection. Because, yeah, we just jumped up to 1600.
Should I wait?
Yeah. Because obviously it just buffers. It's good. Look, you're still dropping. Why are you still dropping? What's wrong with you? I still laugh at it. It's like, your stream quality is good, though.
Stream quality is good though.
You're dropping frames, but it's still good. You're fine.
I probably shouldn't be drinking Coke.
Probably not. Since you have to go to bed.
Yeah.
Because you're old.
I have to get up at 4, you dick.
Oh my god, did it level out? It would be even more mean and tagger. I gotta send the sad minnow gif.
Are we better? No? Since it looks like the number keeps going up.
I don't know why.
I cannot help you.
Like, Loki, I wish I knew how long this section is, but obviously we don't. Yeah, I know, okay? Do we just want to stop it here?
That's fine.
Alright, since our internet has decided to say nah, we're just gonna end the stream here. We will pick back up next Friday. But we'll be streaming Monday with some more Fire Emblem and wooing Yuri. We're just really gay on this channel. All of the gay.
That's fine.
Gay.
I still think that at some point we should do a cosplay stream for Fire Emblem.
Okay.
I think that would be awesome.
I feel like it needs to be sooner rather than later.
Okay.
Just because, like, I feel like we're getting closer to the end, although we only stream.
Yeah, that's true.
That would be a special stream because we have to do it, like, on a Sunday or something.
I was gonna say. Because, well, okay, so technically we both have 2 cosplays because I refuse to wear that wig again. So,
Oh,
I have Dimitri and Felix, and you have Leonie and Byleth.
I'd probably just do Byleth.
Alright, so they're just the professor, and then I can just
Do whoever.
do whoever.
The Byleth looks better than the Leonie. I don't have anything other of Leonie's.
Oh, you threw it out.
I threw away the gym uniform because the gym uniform was ugly. So I would have to remake the gym uniform. Although that would be hella comfy
It would be.
to just do the gym uniforms.
You got an entire weekend.